All right, we are inside a month now to the National Football League's draft. Welcome aboard, Big Sills. Please hit the like button. 30 days away from the greatest NFL event, non-contact. I mean, look, opening day. Let me say something about baseball. Opening day, I know the Phillies are opening up in D.C. against the Nationals. Major League Baseball has absolutely lost itself. When I grew up, opening day mattered. It was Cardinals and Cubs every single year. Cardinals and Cubs in Cincinnati, not in Japan. I get what baseball's doing, trying to expand the sport. Dude, you've lost so many fans in America. America's pastime is now pro football. It is not baseball. You know the average fan, how old he is in baseball? He's 54 years old. Bob Nightingale told me that from USA Today. Used to come on my radio show all the time. Major League Baseball's average fan is an old dude, not the young people. Young people don't watch baseball unless you're a hardcore Philly. Shit, there's no such thing as a hardcore Met fan. Unless you're a hardcore Major League Baseball. Shit, there's not even hardcore Dodger fans. Baseball doesn't have what we call in our business P1s. The people who are always going to be there. And if they are, they're a small group. NFL, everyone loves it. Chicks now, it's not the chicks don't dig the long ball. They took the long ball away. Chicks now dig the egg-shaped ball, football. 47% of the NFL fan base are chicks. Try that in baseball. Nobody's going to sit through a 9-inning ball game. Nobody. I don't care who you are. They have no personalities in the sport. Hey, listen, I grew up a baseball fan, not a football fan. I grew up a hardcore Yankee fan. Every single historical thing about that team, going to games, knowing all the players, going in the dugout because of Robustelli. Hey, I've got family members that have pictures with Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford and Billy Martin. No, I'm not kidding. I used to walk in all the time and see them in there. Baseball is lost. Personalities are gone, like Reggie Jackson, Dick Allen. Hey, look, I tell you, do I still have my ball up here? I do. One of the items that are on my desk every day, I show it to you all the time, is my Dick Allen baseball. This guy's my favorite athlete. Dick Allen. Why? Because he didn't give a shit about anybody. Look at that. Dick Allen. How you doing? Ball palm. There's nothing football on my desk. I got a Dick Allen baseball sitting on my desk. The sport today, though, it's impossible to watch a 9-inning ball game. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game blows. It used to be one of the great midseason classics. I think interleague play has destroyed that. You know why interleague plays in baseball? Because during the home run stretch of McGwire and Sosa, only the National League got a chance to see those stars. Baseball didn't want to do that anymore. So they've hacked the sport to pieces. Baseball's regional. NFL is now all over the country. That's why NFL football is the best. And they haven't oversaturated it. They're getting there Thursday, Sunday, Monday. You know, I mean, they're getting there when it comes to oversaturation. Saturdays when college football's off. NFL football continues to dominate. I mean, the draft is going to dominate in 30 days. 12 million people will watch the opening Thursday night on all platforms, the NFL draft. 12 million. Look at how many people watched the combines. Incredible. Another topic here. By the way, appreciate everybody. Supers go to the top. Please hit the like button. One more here with baseball. And I'm going to tie it into Jalen Hurts. I think winning a World Series is probably the toughest championship to win. So many things have to go right. Starting pitching, bullpen, timely hitting, good managing, defense. There's so many quirks that have to go right. A team like the Royals can actually win the World Series. You're not going to see a team like Cincinnati win the Super Bowl. That's not going to happen. Unless everything, hey, what is the last underdog to go in and win a world championship in football? The 17 Eagles, right? Maybe the 17 Eagles were maybe the biggest outlier, dark horse team to win a championship in football, right? It's either Patriots or back then the Broncos, Colts with Peyton. Eli, Giants were good, but they were kind of surprise team when they upset the undefeated Patriots. You rarely get upsets. Baseball, you can get a Royals team that has timely pitching, great bullpen, and they go out and win a World Series. You see this in hockey all the time, like Xander says. You think Bryce Harper will ever do what Jalen Hurts just did? Deliver a championship to Philadelphia? No way. No way. Bryce Harper's a great player. He's closer to Joel Embiid than he is Jalen Hurts. I don't think Bryce Harper has championship gene in him. I think he's a great ball player. But I think he's more closer to being somebody and having that on his resume like Embiid. I don't think he's not, when I look at him, I don't see Derek Jeter. Do you see Derek Jeter when you look at Bryce Harper? I don't. I don't see that. Right? Harper, get this. Harper is a future Hall of Fame player. Not denying that. Not denying it. I ask you a simple question. Do you think Bryce Harper delivers a world championship for the city of Philadelphia? Yes or no? Jalen Hurts, do you know who the last guy that delivered a championship in Philadelphia? You know what his name was? Who's the last big? Was Chase Utley? Right? Ryan Howard? Then before that, it was Malone. You think that guy delivers a champion? I don't believe he does. I actually think the Phillies make a step back this year. Rob Thompson, I wonder how far Dave Dombrowski's going to go. Anyway, I digress. What Jalen Hurts did by delivering a championship to the city of Philadelphia as an Eagle will go down in Philadelphia sports lore forever, being one of the guys who delivers a championship. Roy Halladay, Moses Malone, Dr. J, Pete Rose, Mike Schmidt, guys like that. Bobby Clark, Bernie Perrant. Can have all the greatest players of all time. Look at this. Great take, Anthony. Harper, Ken Griffey Jr. All the talent in the world and no rank. Same with Bonds. Bonds is the greatest hitter I've seen next to Shohei Ohtani. No ranks. Ken Griffey Jr. and Bonds, some of the greatest players I've ever seen in person and covered. Bonds used to be on my show all the time. I've never seen a ball player like Barry Bonds. Baseball is the ultimate, Sue, you're right, team sport. Everything's got to go in sequence. I don't think Bryce Harper ever delivers what Jalen Hurts did. A world championship. Harper doesn't have it in him to win. Hey, 37, let me ask you this. Isn't it funny? The Washington Nationals got rid of him, and they won the World Series the next year. How does a team lose one of the best players in the game and get better? That's the dilemma of baseball. The Orioles got rid of Manny Machado. They got better. Think about that. They got better, the Orioles, after getting rid of one of the. You can have the best. Look at Mike Trout with the Angels. He's the modern day Mickey Mantle. You know what his batting average is in the postseason? It's like 205. How many times has he been? Rarely. Angels are going nowhere with one of the generational players of all time. You don't see that in hoop, and you really don't see that in the NFL very often. That's right. Pitching wins. Bryce Harper, great ball player. Cover of Sports Illustrated when he was like, 16 or something? Gold shoes. I love the whole thing. I don't see championship when I see that around him, though. All right. We got a ton of topics here. Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30. Xander at 3:30. You guys were awesome yesterday. Please hit the like button. Supers go to the top. Thank you guys so much for starting the show out the way you do. I was listening to Birds 365 today. It's the only show in Philly I listen to. The rest of them suck. I love John's insight. I like the topics they're throwing around. If you guys are just checking out mine, you should check theirs out too. Honestly, I go around and listen to all the shows. The only reason IP's got great numbers, fans. The Philly sports fan makes, because it doesn't matter really who's on the air. In our platform, it does. With you guys. Okay? So we appreciate that. Can't run this show without you. Be talking to myself in a closet. I heard them talking about the upcoming season. Let me ask you this. What's more likely for the Philadelphia Eagle offense this year? For Barkley to go for 2,100 yards, improving the run game, or improving the passing game? I don't believe you're going to improve the passing game because the quarterback is limited. And I'm going to make a comment about Jalen Hurts. Since it seems Walter Nolan is the pick. It does. But you got to wait and see how the board falls in front of you, my friend. Don't be caught with your pants down if somebody before the Eagles takes them and you don't have a plan. And I'm not saying how he won't. Passing game's not going to improve. I'm going to make a point to you. And you tell me if this is a rip on Jalen Hurts. By the way, my bold prediction on Jalen Hurts' 2025 season. Positions to replace, we're going to talk about. My NFL 2025 bold predictions. Roles to fill. I'll explain. So let me ask you this. And you tell me if you think this is a rip on Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' best year that he's ever had on a consistent basis as a runner and as a passer was 2022. That year, he was the engine that led you to a Super Bowl. Played as good as he could in the game. Defense did chalk it up and cough it up a bit against Kansas City in that game in Arizona, for sure. No question about it. But that's the best year he had on a week-to-week basis, running and throwing the ball. Is it not? I think it is. Afternoon Sills, have you done a mock draft? Yes. Yes. Our next one will be the week of the draft heading into Thursday, most likely on Wednesday. Okay? And then we have one more to go prior to that. We did one already after free agency. We've done two. We're going to do one more that Wednesday prior to the draft, the eve of it. This is my take, and this is what Hurts has performed as. Every year that Jalen Hurts has been the starting quarterback in Philly, every year has been drastically different. The 21 season had nothing to do with the 22 season. The 22 season and 23 season look so far removed from one another. And this past season was a complete outlier from any of those other seasons. Jalen Hurts has been a different quarterback every year. But the most important thing is they win. Remember this, when I'm making these comments here, put winning as the number one priority in this conversation. He does. So what to expect this year from him and that offense improving? I'd make this point to you. Jalen Hurts cannot and will not be a quarterback that is going to be consistent every single week in putting up rushing numbers and putting up great passing numbers. That's not what he is. They have made this roster so good that they are dominating week in and week out, running the football, that Jalen Hurts has to do the most important thing: win the most important games. Hurts' best performance in the last 4 years has been the NFC title game and Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts' performance on February 9th versus the 22 Super Bowl, it's night and day. He was superior in that game on February 9th. Because the most important thing he was asked to do, win. I say we go to running backs with Dillon and Barkley. Not a bad thought. Running back, fullback in the backfield, I formation. Couldn't stop it. Remember what I'm telling you. It's not a rip. Why? You're world champs. I'm talking more about process. And I'm not ripping the process. Why? You win and you're world champs. Get over yourselves. When I make a comment that guy's not going to throw for $4,000, who fucking cares? Win Super Bowls, NFC titles. Stop with the cosmetic look of it. You're so enamored with improving the passing game. As long as that guy wins the most important games, whether he throws for 2,200 yards or he throws for 4,400 yards, what do you care? Sills, he's not Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or any of these other guys. He's not asked to do that in this system. He's not asked to do that on a talented roster. He doesn't have to. You know how good the organization is? The organization is better than Hurts. They're just better at building a team. They couldn't build a team around Wentz. It's easier to build a team around Jalen Hurts than it is to build a team around Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. It's easier. Why? Because you're not expecting a guy to throw for $5,000. That's how they've made the team. I don't think initially they thought that. But the results, even for them, have to change their ideology. You know what 2024 did to the Eagle organization? Do you know what it did? It changed the entire way they look at the running back position, the linebacker position, and the quarterback position. They have gotten better because they've accepted what they are. Do you know how many teams can't accept it and continually do the wrong thing over and over and over and over and over again? Look at the fucking New York teams. He plays way better in big games. He does. Get this. Look at New York. New York's got Jameis Winston and Justin Fields for the Jets and Giants. I mean, can you be any more inept? How in the world, my God almighty, how in the world, if you cover those teams on a day-to-day basis, are you not fucking going like this? Jameis Winston, New York Giants, Justin Fields, Jets. That's your quarterbacks? Combined, they won't win 12 games. Combined. By the way, it's okay to say there's better players than Hurts. That doesn't mean those better players get better results. Here, we just got through talking baseball. Derek Jeter's got 5 world championship rings. Is he better than Bonds? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. My Mount Rushmore quarterbacks, I'll do that, Jeff, a little bit later after I get out of the open. Mount Rushmore QBs. Promise. There's better players. Hey, like you guys bring up, Nolan Smith's got a ring. Myles Garrett doesn't. Myles Garrett's a superior player. Will always be. The only statistic that truly matters, Hurts completes, he wins. That's all that matters more than anything. He's a leader and leads the ship, says Harv. Harv, that dynamic is made because of just the same thing that he had when he was at Alabama. Nick Saban's the reason they win. Howie Roseman's the reason they win. They put good players on the field. Systems don't make players. Players make systems. You can have all the fucking greatest coaches on the planet. If you don't have the Jimmies and Joes and the guy putting them in the right place, you're not winning. I don't care who you are. You guys had a all-star team back with Nnamdi Asomugha and all them guys. It was the wrong collection of dudes. Thank you, Craig. Dude, when somebody goes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson are better quarterbacks than Hurts, so what? You should shrug it off. And just shrug it off. So what? So what? Are they winning? Kind of. Those are kind of winners. At the end of the day, when you're going to look at who is the greatest team sport quarterback right now? Let me put this out there. I'll put the top 3 best playing right now versus the best athletes to play the position. Best team sport quarterback, Mahomes. He's got 3 of them. 2. Playing right now. That's in their prime. Or still playing at a high level. I would put Hurts over Stafford right now. Mahomes, Hurts, and Stafford. Those 3 dudes are your best team sport quarterbacks. Here's the most gifted players. in the sport. Mahomes, Allen, Jackson. There's two different categories. Somehow you try to combine it. Here's all time. Greatest team sport champion of all time, Tom Brady. Second, Joe Montana. Third, team sport, Uncle Bradshaw. Most talented players ever to play the game. And in NFL history, Elway, Allen, Rodgers. They're different categories. Brady would never be considered the greatest athlete ever to play or the greatest and most gifted player ever to play the position. He's the greatest winner, and he's the most accomplished. There's two different, it's a different conversation. You can't combine both. Very rarely do you get a Michael Jordan conversation where he's the greatest athlete to ever play the position and the greatest winner to play the position. Very rarely do you get that. So you guys get butthurt because when somebody goes, who's the most gifted players in the game today? And Hurts is not in the top 10. It's kind of a moot conversation, though. But that's how they get paid. You get paid on your athleticism, not your resume on wins. I keep trying to explain that to you. Anybody with common sense knows, hey, Hurts fits exactly what they're doing. They built the team around him, and they have exploited his strengths to a T. Do you know what Buffalo can't do? Buffalo can't draft correctly. Buffalo over-evaluates their defensive players. They're still in salary cap hell. Their general manager is okay. Any team right now that has a top-flight quarterback and you're in salary cap hell, you'll never win. Howie Roseman makes it so Jalen Hurts' inabilities and his abilities outshine one another. He doesn't have to be a 4,000-yard guy. Again, get excuses. We'll see who's in Canton at the end of this. How many quarterbacks right now are in Canton that haven't won? Tons. Joe Namath has a losing record. I know he won a Super Bowl, but he is the only quarterback with a losing record in more interceptions than touchdowns. Do you understand that? But because of his great gifts, Namath is a Hall of Famer, first ballot, with a losing record, more interceptions than touchdown passes. How's that possible? Well, when you looked at Namath, you knew it. It's a Hall of Fame player. Nobody would ever watch a Jalen Hurts game and go, that guy's a Hall of Fame player. But he's putting a Hall of Fame resume together. That's going to get him in if he continues his trend. This is not a ripping conversation. There's different paths to get to that place. Here, let me give you I'm going to give you my Jalen Hurts expectations for 2025. And I'm going to show you who he is. We are now going on 5 years of starting for the quarterback. So we kind of know where he's going to be in what room and around what room. There is no argument here. Nobody's arguing anything. Here, let me show you where Hurts is in his career. Guys, this is who this guy is. This is going in year 5 now. He's not going to get – his best year was 2022. And every single year since 22, has been a step back in his own performance. But he's been asked to do the most important thing. What? Win the game that matters. Because the way the roster has been constructed, I can't believe that you guys are so fucking butthurt over a conversation like this when your girlfriend and people are just talking about his successes. You take it like you're talking shit on someone's girlfriend. Man up. Here's who he is. These are his averages. These are his, and by the way, I'm not ripping him. I'm not ripping him. Funny, you hear it that way. Well, let me show you what he's done in his first 4 years starting. Jalen Hurts averages 3,238 yards passing. Are you going to go over or under that number? I'm going to go under. 32-38. That's what he's been averaging. In his 4 years, he's averaged 3,238 yards passing. You think he goes over that or unders that? 4 years. This is not 4 games. This is not 1 year. This is, nobody's, you guys are so, I mean, you're babies. Nobody's ripping anybody here. Do you think he goes over 32-38? He didn't last year. 4 years of football. Do you think he goes over that number? Yes or no? Let's see. 4 different, I don't want to hear the coordinator shit. Hey, like Jay Brown says, excuses. You think he goes over or under? That number looks about right to me, 32-38. I think he probably hits that number. That would be, get this. Here's something to think about. If Jalen Hurts throws for 32-38, you improve the passing game. And you're probably undefeated. Rodgers and Brady both go to Canton. Rodgers' talent and the Lombardi. Brady carved this path through wins. Lombardi. That's the topic, people. I know. No. Q. They're not going to hear that because they don't want to hear that. Don't you pass more when you're losing? Good take. Okay? I think you pass more when you've got a more dominant player in your huddle. And Barkley was the more dominant player last year. So, Twiz, I would say Barkley was the better player in the huddle. And just like Tony Dungy said yesterday, Saquon Barkley doesn't go for 2105 if Jalen's not in the huddle. I completely agree with that. So I'm asking you, you think Jalen goes for more than 32-38 or under? By the way, like I said, last year he went for 29-03. He throws for 32-38 this year. They probably won 15 ball games. I mean, if he throws for that number, the team will improve. If Jalen Hurts throws for 4,000 yards, you got problems on your team and you're losing. Remember what I told you about Jordan Davis? Remember what I told you about him last year? The more that guy plays, the more your team's getting run on. If Jalen Hurts throws for $4,000, he's got turnovers. Isn't it funny? The closer he got to $4,000 passing, the more turnovers he had. This is the same formula. And he's winning. I'm going to go through all of it here. Not just that. Here's what, by the way, this is what he's done. This is not what I'm saying. Do you think he goes for? This is what he's done for 4 years. These are his averages. I heard one analyst compare Hurts with Aikman. That was me. In the sense that he wins. He's not asked to do what his peers are asked, but all Aikman did was win 3 championships. I have talked to Troy Aikman, Harv, about this a million times. Troy wanted to throw for 5,000 yards. You know who else? So did Phil Simms. But you know what they did? They ran the ball. They played tight defense. They won 2 titles. The more that Phil Simms passed, the more the Giants lost. How is this conversation so difficult for some? I'm glad that most understand where we're coming from here. This is not a degrading conversation. The less he throws, the better he is. And the more efficient he is. They're talking to dumbasses sometimes. Here, he's averaged 19 touchdowns in his 4 years of starting over a 17-game period. That's what these averages are. For 17 games, Jalen Hurts has averaged 32, 38, and 19 touchdown passes. Do you think he throws for more touchdown passes? Last year, I think it was 18. Or do you think he throws for less? We know our identity. Be efficient in the passing game. These are efficient numbers. This is what Hurts is. This is 4 years of his work. He's not, his best year was 3 years ago, where he led the team week to week. He hasn't done that since. It's not a rip. You think Hurts throws for more than 19 touchdowns? That's his 17-game average. 19 touchdowns. He's not going to get better, Pat. You're not going to evolve into throwing the ball more when you don't have to. The more he throws, the worse he is. That's who he is. Do you think Jalen Hurts? Look, you won't answer the first one on 32-38. This is becoming more like girlfriend-boyfriend talk to you guys. You think Hurts throws for more than 19 touchdowns? Yes or no? I mean, look at I'm Awake Are You. We're going on 5 years, dude. When? Do you think he throws? You won't answer the first one. Let's see if you'll answer the second one. You think he throws for more than 19 touchdowns? Yes or no? This is such a tough conversation for you guys. No shit. What's your point? No shit. Think he goes for more than 19. Think he throws for 20. I think so too. If Jalen Hurts throws for 22 touchdown passes and 3,300 yards this year, you could be undefeated. Now let me get to the rest. There's a bunch of this. Here's the key. You think he has more than 9 picks or under 9 picks this year? Here, RC3. He's asked to win the games that matter, not every week. As long as Barkley's in that backfield, Hurts is not going to be asked to carry the team week to week. He's not. As long as you have a player of that caliber, he's not going to be asked to win every week. Interceptions, not. I think it's under 2. I wouldn't. Here, I'll give you my ending total, what I think. But these are his 17-game averages. Okay? Oh, really? Nonsense? This is fucking what he's done in 4 years. Nonsense? It's the truth. This is what this guy has performed for 4 years over a 17-game period. This isn't what I'm coming up with. These aren't my numbers. This is who Jalen Hurts is. Nonsense? Well, that's his numbers. That's who Hurts has been, a 4-year starter in this league over 17 games. He's averaged 19 TDs, 3,200 yards, and 9 picks. That's not numbers I've made up. That's what he's done. You're making this sound like I've done this. This is Hurts' performance. This is who Jalen Hurts is. I mean, it's almost like the numbers don't look to the winning because the team is so well built. Get this. You're fighting what he's done and who he is and what his performances are year to year, and you're telling me that that's fucking nonsense when the guy, these are his 4-year, 17-game numbers. This is what his trends are. Passer rating, 93.5. This is not a number I made up. This is what Jalen Hurts is. Again, I mean, I'm asking, by the way, this is not a fucking rip. You guys are babies. Here, let's go to his running. You think Jalen Hurts goes over 692? He's averaged 692 yards a year in his 4 years. And 149 yards carrying the ball. You think he goes for less carries this year? And 700 yards? 150 yards or 150 carries and 700 yards rushing is what he averages over 4 years. What's 4 years? Let me see this here. What's the sample size on how many games Jalen Hurts has played? Let me see that. Jalen Hurts. It's beautiful. People are fighting who and what he's done as a quarterback in this league. This is what you're going to expect from him. Let's see here. How many games has he played? He's played 77 ball games. And you think out of somewhere in a new coordinator and all this, you think there's going to be some epiphany where this guy's going to turn into something else that they don't want him to be. And right now, these numbers are championship numbers. Joe Burrow throws for 48 touchdowns and 4,800 passing yards. That's not championship football. The Philadelphia Eagles. You want to hear what championship quarterbacking is in Philly? Here it is. 3,238 yards, 19 touchdowns, 9 picks, 66 percentage completion, 93.5 quarterback rating, 692 yards rushing, 12 rushing touchdowns, 149 attempts, and 4.6 a carry. That's winning and championship football in Philly. Nothing more, nothing less. So my predictions for Hurts this year will be 3,300 passing yards, 22 TDs, 8 picks, 68 completion percentage, 100 quarterback rating, 650 rushing yards, 14 TD rushing, and 4.6 a carry. With those numbers, you go 15-2. Why are you crying? You go 15-2. Because you would have improved just an inkling of the offense. You go 15-2. Anybody who starts talking about $4,000, 4,300 yards, 47, it'll be losing football in Philly. Kyle, I missed your super chat, Kyle. Okay. Xander, did I miss Kyle's super chat? Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. This is not, I'm talking about improving just this much. the offense. And you know what? You'll win 15 ball games. And you'll repeat as champions. Look how much you have to improve compared to Buffalo, Kansas City. You're so far ahead of those other teams. Jalen has to improve this much. Kansas City has to improve this much. Buffalo, this much. Baltimore, this much. That much more to improve a world championship football team. You have so much room for error. Last year you had it, 29th passing game, and you won the world championship. If you improve that much, you're unbeatable. You know, when you look at a player who averages $4,000, 30 touchdowns, and you know after 8, 9 years what that guy is, like a Stafford or a Golf or any of those guys, that's what they are going to give you. That's what they're paid on. How do you think the guy in Atlanta, Kirk Cousins, got paid on that? 4,400 passing yards, 30 touchdowns. That's what Atlanta was looking for because that's his MO. Here's Jalen's MO. 32-38, 19 TDs, 9 touchdowns. This got 64-4 what he's done. Those first couple of years, he struggled with completion percentage. The last 2 years, he's been way better. I think he's a 68, 69% completion percentage guy. I don't think he's a 64-4 guy. So I'm not going with that number. 93.5 quarterback rating, I think he is that number. 692, 700 yards rushing, I think he is that guy. 12 touchdown rushing, I think he is that guy. By the way, just for shits and giggles, that's 31 total touchdowns. At a 68% completion percentage. I mean, dude, what the fuck are we talking about here? That's why when you look at Hurts and you ask the question about Hurts, and people look at Jalen Hurts and go, what is he? That's what he is. This is efficient football. The other guys in the league can't play efficient football. You know why? Because the roster hasn't been constructed. Look at New York with Joe Schoen. He's all over the map. Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Malik Neighbors, and Jameis Winston. How is that possible? You do all those other things, and then you go Jameis Winston. And you extend Daniel Jones. That's absolutely asinine. Dude, you want to know the most important stat that Hurts has here? There's 2 of them. That's 700 yards rushing and that 12 TDs. I would make this argument with you, with anybody. Is there a better red zone player than Jalen Hurts in the last 4 years? Red zone, isn't that where you win championships? Don't you think name me a better red zone guy than Hurts? Between the passing and the running, is there a better red zone quarterback in pro football than Jalen Hurts? Absolutely not. Nobody's close. Hey, Joe Burrow and Josh Allen are great from 20 to 20. You know where Hurts is spectacular? 10 to the goal line. That's where you win championships. Dude, I will pay, and teams pay, and the league pays thousands of players from 20 to 20. You know who the special guys are? 20 yards to the goal line. I looked that up. He's the best goal line player in pro football. Jalen Hurts is the best goal. Hey, watch this. Josh Allen's the best 20 to 20. Burrow, the best 20 to 20. Okay? Who's the best finisher? Jalen Hurts. Who would you rather be? I looked it up. Nobody has scored more red zone touchdowns in 4 years than Jalen Hurts. And you want to argue with me over 20-20. Why? From 20-20, he's a 32-38. From 10 yards or from 20 yards in, he's the best closer in football. Rushing yards don't matter. Touchdowns do. I knew 99.9% of you would get your asses in a bind talking about 20-20. But just like with that kid, let me finish the conversation. Seals, these dudes hyping up CD's older brother. Candid Lambs, I'm not impressed with Howie's vision so far. Pump, you got to be impressed with the results. Don't get hung up on process. Process will keep you in the weeds. Look at the results. Okay? I'm losing what? How am I fucking losing by calling him the best closer in football? The fuck are you talking about? Losing what? Hurts is the best quarterback from 20 yards to the goal line. And this guy says I'm losing. Losing what? An argument on what he's performed for 4 years? You don't understand. I don't think you understand the game. Yes. Yes. You just don't like the way it's presented to you. It's funny to listen and watch you guys. Guy's the best. No, he's the best when it matters. That's all that you need to have. He'll never be in those conversations with those other skilled guys, nor will Brady. You think Brady's in a conversation with, how about this one? I'll bring a historical guy to today's conversation. You think Brady's in the conversation with Josh Allen? No, he's not. You think Tom Brady can play like Josh Allen and is gifted as that guy? No. Does it matter? That's why every time when I ask the question, what is Hurts? Here he is. 32-38. 19 touchdowns. Passing. 19 picks. I don't buy the 64-4. Think he's more at 68. 93.5 QBR. 692 rushing. 12 TDs a year rushing. About 150 carries. And 4.6 a carry. 5 yards a clip almost running the ball. Let me show you what's more impressive about the Eagle offense. You got a guy running the ball for over 6 yards a carry, and you got another guy almost touching 5 yards a carry. What do you think they're going to do this year? Jalen isn't top 4 until you have to play him and lose. He's the best closer in the game. You know why I have to say that? Because they're facts. Josh Allen's not a closer. 2 years ago, when he put the ball on the ground against Minnesota with the goalpost behind him, you're not going to see that in Philly. Throwing picks to Kansas City like Lamar, you're not going to see that in Philly. They'd rather have 3 fumbles in a game than 3 picks in a game. Because they're going to stick to who they are and what they are. They're built around that O-line. Get this. That team's not built around Jalen Hurts. That team's built around that O-line. That's what they're built around. Buffalo's built around the quarterback. There's the flaw. There's too many other holes. What? You know what? Baltimore has to get better in the O-line. They got better in the running game. It still didn't matter. Why? Pressure got to Lamar Jackson when he had to drop back. For whatever reason, John Harbaugh and Todd Monken, they feel they have to get into a track meet with Kansas City. That's not how you beat Kansas City. Hurts showed you how to beat them. I knew if I showed you what he has done for 4 years, some of you were going to go, these numbers are only a means to an end. Get me near the 20. We'll close it out. And they do. Dude, when the Eagles, I'll tell you the most impressive thing about the Philadelphia Eagle offense the last 4 years. Would you not agree? By the way, guys, please hit the like button. Would you not agree when the Eagles are inside the opponent's 30, they're scoring? That's almost a certainty. They're scoring. You know how many times I say that about opposing teams? They're inside the 30. We'll see what happens. And on top of that, you got the tush-push play when you're in the red zone. If you don't think the tush-push play is a determining factor on why he's one of the best closers, you'd be wrong. It's one of the only plays I've ever seen in pro football history that's almost the biggest for sure thing going. I looked this up. No team closes out 20 yards and in more than the Eagles in the NFL. That's a fact. You know what? It's a wide margin. They may fumble out of the gate this past year. In the first quarter, I see somebody bringing that up. But when they get inside that 20, shit, when they're in the 30-yard area, I go like this. Opposing team, best bet is to hold them to 3. And that's what made Elliott's situation a little more troubling this year, was that every time the Eagles were in the 30, they're going to score. I can't say that about any team in the league, including Kansas City. You improve your offense this much, you're unbeatable. Here, watch this. Kansas City has to improve their game in the run game, receiving core, and in the O-line. You know what the Eagles have to improve? A little more efficiency. What? It is easier for me to say this. The Eagles can improve this much than me saying Kansas City is going to improve this much. I don't believe Kansas City can improve this much. I don't believe Baltimore can improve this much. I don't believe Buffalo can improve this much. I don't believe the Rams can. Eagles have to improve this much to be unbeatable. And they're world champions. The margin of error for Philly is this wide. They could play the same way, have the 30th ranked offense in the passing game again, and still win the fucker. That is demeaning and demorally defeating if you're an opponent. You mean to tell me they don't have to really pass the ball well to beat me? No. If Joe Burrow doesn't throw the ball well and they don't get any kind of running game going in Cincinnati, that team's getting murdered. Getting murdered. Figure this out. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to throw one pass, and he'll get 4-6 a carry, and the other guy will get 6 a carry. And they can still beat you not throwing a pass. How he gutted the defense, best in the league, like an idiot. We'll talk about that here in a minute. The defense is easier to fix in the Eagles' minds than the offense. Look where the money is. They feel they can fix their defense and improve their defense more through drafting than the offense. I think fixing the defense is easier than fixing an offense. You got to improve this much. You know what this much will mean? About 6 more minutes of time of possession. My God. If the Eagles had, can somebody do me a favor? Where did the Eagles rank in time of possession a year ago? If they get 6 more minutes of time of possession, there's no way you can beat them. There's no way. Dan, who is the better overall player, Ed or Troy? Ed who? Troy was a really great player. I enjoyed playing with Troy Aikman. Okay? Improve the offense skills helps the defense also. Last year it was reversed, didn't it? Offense wasn't asked to do shit. Not that it didn't do anything, but the defense was the catalyst last year. RC3, appreciate you guys coming aboard. Please, guys, hit the like button here. We're going to get to this here in a second here. Should have never let CJ and Slay go. You're an idiot. Thank you, guy. Whatever. Ziggy, shouldn't have let them go. They're world champions. Whatever. 32 minutes time of possession. In a 60-minute ball game. Where did that rank? Can somebody tell me where that ranked? 32 minutes of time of possession. Darius, did that rank first in time of possession? What did that 32 minutes rank? Can somebody tell me? You guys were number 1 in time of possession? Game. This much, 6 minutes, you're unbeatable. You were number 1 holding the ball against your opponents. You were number 1 with the 29th ranked passing game. If they improve this much, that's 6 minutes of ball. Game of inches. Turns into yards, then wins. Ed Reed's the best safety ever to play in this league, and there's nobody close to him. Look it up. Dude, let me put it to you this way here. That's what we're saying about improving. Okay? 3 minutes a quarter. Just by throwing the ball more. All right. Let's get to the other topic here. What position do you feel will be the most difficult for the Eagles to replace? Slay, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, or Gardner Johnson? What will be the most difficult position to recover from with the loss? Let's take a look at that. Or right guard. Let me go down in order here. Where the Fook is Ed Reed at, Sills. Get Tony Dungy and Jimmy Johnson on yesterday, and this guy's giving me shit about it. Don't worry, son. We're working on it. Remember something. I'm in endless pursuit of perfection. You think I give up on people? Relax, Twiz. If I told you he'd be here, you got to be just like your boy Howie Roseman. A little patient with Nolan Smith. How you doing? All right. Let's go down the list here. The biggest and most difficult position for the Eagles to have to replace. Right guard. I don't think that's a big deal. I don't think it's as big a deal as people think. I think Mekhi Becton was a luxury, like Isaac Seumalo was. I think you're not going to have a drop-off whatsoever at right guard. You know why? Whoever you put in there, I got Lane and Cam. I'm pretty good with that. I'm sure we'll be all right. I don't have a problem there. So I don't think that's a big deal. Losing Becton, see ya. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. This is like National Thank You for Your Service Day here on the Big Sill Show. Thank you, Mekhi, for your service. We appreciated it. Good luck in Los Angeles. Bucks number 1, Lions, Eagles, and time of possession. Eagles are in the top 3. Dude, this much improvement, you can't be beat. Defensive end. Mario Jomo. Then we'll get to the edge. Replacing Milton. Do I think that's a big deal? No. I think if you can get somebody to play the run well, I think it's going to be a little bit of a notice because of the versatility Milton gave you. But Milton, you know what I say? Mario Jomo was probably going to be a 7 to Milton's 10. I can live with that 3%. Especially at $26 million. Edge. This is why I think it's going to be a little more difficult. 40 sacks in 5 years. Production. Reps. A really good ball player at times. Was invisible in games, especially in stretches. If I were to, is he an upper tier edge rusher in the NFL? No, like the Crosbys and the Trey Hendricksons and those guys. No, he's not. Is he in the second tier? Like the guy on the other side of Michael Parsons? Is he kind of something like that? Yeah, a little better. Sure. Okay, a little better, more productive, I think. More consistent than that guy. Is that DeMarcus Lawrence? A little more productive than him. He's a little better than him. Can you replace him? Well, you don't have the guy on the team right now that can replace him. So that's going to be a body you still have to find. And all these guys that you've brought in, you're kind of going to throw darts at it and hope one of those guys with Vic Fangio making him a better player. I don't believe there's one guy that you signed that Vic's going to elevate to make up for the distance on what the drop-off in play is going to be. If we're going to use just 10 as a scale, and that's Josh Sweat, every guy you signed, in my opinion, to take over for that position, the best you can get out of that is a 6. So that's going to be a little bit more of a significant drop. And unless you draft a guy and he turns out to be somebody special, you don't have the guy on the roster right now that's going to replace Josh Sweat. You just don't. We'll see. Sweat's played 700 snaps the last 5 years for you. And he's got 40 sacks. We'll see. Your strong safety, Gardner Johnson. Gardner Johnson, my opinion, out of position sometimes, overruns plays, ball hawk, turnover machine. 2 years he was an Eagle were 2 of the best years in franchise history. 12 picks, NFC title, the Super Bowl. I don't know how you get away from that. Having him connect the entire secondary with his attitude and play. Do you have a guy on the roster to do that? Playing that position right now? Nope. That'll be something to be addressed. I know you're all in love with Sidney. We'll see. Try to stay healthy first before we can have a fair evaluation on him. Okay? Try to stay healthy. And before we make some type of assessment on a guy with 87 snaps. You know, I heard John talking about, the reason they went to Tristan McCullum because he was coming off of an injury. Well, so was Brandon Graham. And they went to Brandon Graham instead of Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff was cleared, and that guy had a torn tricep. Come on. Get a Walter Nolan type DT. And the new Eagles will eat well. I'm a big SEC fan, as you know. I think anybody you draft out of that conference, I think they're primed and ready to play. I do. I'll tell you, the one thing that I don't like about today's college players is that they don't get the same repetitions that they did back in our day, where you played 100 plays a game and you were pretty conditioned to get ready to play in an NFL season. Like if you play at Georgia, what are you going to play in snaps? 30 snaps? The second and third team guys are going to get the other 30 or 20 snaps, 15 snaps. Because you got to appease them to keep them on the roster. Because I'll tell you what, me too. And I was probably one of the original goats of the transfer portal. We didn't really have it then. If you weren't fucking playing me, I'm not staying at Georgia. I'll go to Tennessee and play against your ass and kick the shit out of you. I'm not sitting around playing 20 reps. No, thank you. I'll go to Penn State or somewhere else I can play 80 plays. I'm not sitting a pine. That's not what I'm doing. You got to appease kids today. And you would have to, me too. I'm not like going to Miami. Dude, I never came out. I played 100% of the snaps every game. And I had Cortez Kennedy and Russell Merrill behind me. I'm not coming out for anybody. That wasn't happening. These guys aren't as conditioned to play in today's NFL. That's why I love what Vic did last year. I think that you don't have that guy on the team right now, that strong safety. I think the toughest position, you're going to have to replace Slay. Who's your – look, last year, you had 2 really good corners. This year, you have 1. And there's nobody who's good. You even got rid of the guy who was good. You got more of this. A really good corner in Q, an unknown. Okay? That's what you have. Now, again, this comes down to personnel. That cornerback position, that cornerback 2, because I'm assuming, according to John, that they're going to flip him and they're going to put him over at CB1. Okay, that's the right move. And it looks like you're going to keep Cooper in the nickel. I actually like him in the middle of the field. I don't want to put, you know why I like him in the middle of the field? He's like a third linebacker out there. He patrol. I'll tell you the difference between the 23 defense and the 22 defense to the 24 defense. Cooper DeJean acted like a Wolverine back in the middle of that zone. And his closing speed, whether it was a running back getting a pass catch or whether it was a guy getting out in open space, his closing speed is something that Sidney Brown has to work on. He can track a runner as good as any young player that's in the game today. His pursuit angles are excellent. He knows where to go. He's athletic. He patrols that middle of the zone. And like I said, the middle of that zone, from the line of scrimmage to the secondary, when you're down here, that's the D line here, that zone in the middle here, DeJean drops down and plays in there in closing speed. I like him in that position. I think he's more effective. I'd rather have Cooper DeJean in the middle of the field, then I put him over there on the side of the field and half the field. Guess what? I think he's less productive over there. I think he's more productive in the middle of the field because you know why? He can multitask, cover, and hit. I haven't really seen Q hit anybody. Tell you what I have seen. I have seen that Cooper DeJean teacup Derrick Henry and make interception plays. That guy, he is my second favorite Philadelphia Eagle defensive player because he can play everywhere. If he had to play corner, he could. But I don't think that's where I want him. I want him in the middle of the field where all the action is. Most quarterbacks in today's NFL, they want to go to their tight end. That guy's a tight end killer. A second year in the league, playing in that zone defense that he played for 3 years when he was at Iowa, and now a year in Philly, he's only going to get better. I want him there. So the cornerback position is going to be something you're going to have to deal with. I don't believe you have the guy on the roster right now. Debate me all you want. It's your opinions. I don't think you have the guy on the roster. I think you got to find that guy or develop that guy somewhere. Can you get away with a lesser player at corner too? Yeah, if you got good pressure. If you can get to the quarterback. Why? Well, you could play with James Bradbury at cornerback if you're getting 70 sacks. You know what got James Bradbury that contract? That big money contract? The front seven. Slower developing routes. Never got matured in 22. The volume of pressure and the volume of sacks that you had in 22, anybody's going to get paid and look good. The defensive backs, I'm wrong. In 2024, were superior. The whole secondary was superior to 22. And for that matter, 17. I mean, the way they hit, the way they covered, and less pressure. You had less pressure this year than you did 2 years ago. You were better in the secondary. That corner spot is going to be difficult to replace, I think. How he's been collecting draft picks for the top DT. It's impossible on March 25th to sit here and say Walter Nolan is going to be there at 32. It's just impossible. Guys, do me a favor. Don't think names. Think position. If you think names, you can only hope the name you want is there. Think position. Think best player. Think need last. like at 32, if Walter Nolan gets picked, what are you doing at 32? Are you going with Derek Harmon? The second best player? Or would you go with the best OT who's available there at 32? Why would you take the second best edge rusher if the difference is significant? Why would you take him? What do you want to do? Draft Mozzie Smith? When you get this, we need backup, Sills. Kyle, when you draft the first rounder, you're not looking for an all-pro. You're looking for a starter in the first round. All-pro is a cherry on top of the cake. You're looking for a starter in the first round. That's what the first round represents. Graham, in my opinion, is going in the top 10. The DT from Michigan. I think those three guys are pretty good. Walter Nolan, the Harmon kid from Oregon. I think he's the third. And Graham. I think those three guys are your top three DTs in this draft. I so told Clint Hurt that those are your top three defensive tackles. Kenneth Grant kid. Yeah. From what I've seen on film and talking to Tracy Rocker, who worked him out at the combines, those are his top three too. And I said, how much of a significant difference is it? Nolan's bigger. I'm not a fan of defensive Oregon guys. Let's just say that. I'm trying to think of Oregon guys on defense in the NFL. Let me think. Especially interior-wise. Kayvon Thibodeau was on the perimeter in New York. Can you think of anybody else? Let's come out of that program that they've recruited well. Here, let me give you an idea what I'm talking about, because I think sometimes you guys are – University of Miami is going to have the number one player taken, and that's going to be Cam Ward. You want to hear something significant during my time? From 1983 until 1989, the University of Miami had 4 first-round draft choices at quarterback. All those quarterbacks were during my era pretty much at Miami. All 4 of them. We had 4 quarterbacks taken in the first round inside of 6 years. That's pretty remarkable. And one of them was the number 1 overall player taken in Testaverde. Cam Ward's going to be the number 1 player taken. 35 plus years later, Miami's going to have their first quarterback taken in the first round. What's significant on that? Miami hasn't recruited the position very well in the last nearly 40 years. Why would I take a quarterback out of UM? I'm not saying Cam's not the guy, by the way. I'm just saying Miami doesn't produce quarterbacks. That's a one of. Back in the day, we produced quarterbacks. We produced them. Good question. Any chance you can get Testaverde on the show? Cam, I'll tell you something about Vinny. And I've always loved this about Testaverde. I got a great, we're dear friends, obviously, as you know. Okay? Many of you. Let me show you this here, man. You really love this. Me and Vinny go back a long way. Testaverde. Sileo. Let me get this up here. See if I can get. Great picture, me and Vinny. Me and Vinny are dear friends. As a matter of fact, some of the quarterbacks that I've been friends with are close to is Roger Staubach And of course, I hate this guy the most. Does anybody know who this is? Let me put it down. I don't want you to see. Oh, God. Does anybody know who that little tiny guy is with big sills falling in the mud? When this fucker threw up a pass that I get reminded every November. Does anybody know who that dude is? It's Fruitcakes. Doug Fruitcakes. Yeah. It's Doug Fruitcakes. Yes, it is. Doug Flutie. Holy shit. He looks little. He is little, but I'll tell you what, that guy played like he was 10 feet tall. That guy could play, man. I'm telling you, Doug Flutie was a freaking hell of a player. Yeah, Bryce Young. Hey, by the way, one of my bold predictions on Bryce Young, some of you probably will be shocked. All right. Guys are doing a great job at Birds 365, man. Great stuff going on. John, man, I'll tell you, man. Hey, he's got the book on recruiting. He's got the book on the Eagle. I think he does in a way because I tried listening to that other bullshit in Philly. I'd rather cut my throat than listen to them shows. So I always end up back with Xander and John McMullen. John does a great job. All right, guys, please hit that like button. Without further ado, guy killing it, the up-and-coming star in Philly, from Birds 365, our guy, Big C. Xander.
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
How's it going, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm ready. I'm ready when you are to dish back my bold predictions for 2025.
All right, we're going to do that here in a second.
Yeah, we'll get there whenever you're ready. Big Sills world, I'm just living in it.
I want to show you. Did you agree with what I said about Hurts? He's the best closer in the game.
Hard to argue. I mean, you know, outside of Mahomes, I think Mahomes still has the slight edge because you're looking at obviously a longer resume there, a bigger resume there in terms of a pretty short period. But hard to argue that, Sills. I mean, and I think that's more valuable than some. I get that people are, you know,
totally
have a different metric, but shoot, that's more important to me than most. So I agree with you 100%.
But what makes Mahomes an outlier is that he's great from 20 to 20 and the red zone.
Yeah, it's true.
Hurts doesn't have to be great from 20. Here's what he's accomplished in his 4 years of play. There are almost 4 different seasons. Xander, if you get this from him this year, 32-38, that's this much of an increase. They were third in time of possession, 19 touchdowns, 9 picks. I don't believe he's a 64 quarterback completion percentage. I think he's more 68. 93.5 in rating, 692 in rushing yards, 12 in rushing TDs, about 150 carries a year he's average, and he's averaging almost 5 yards a carry at 4.6. If Jalen Hurts does this, 3,300 yards this year, 22 touchdowns, 8 picks, 68 quarterback percentage, 650 in rushing, another 14 in touchdowns rushing. They're going to win 15 ball games with that. The fucking guy went for 29.03 and 18 last year. If he goes for 33 and 22, isn't that the marginal improvement we're talking about on being a little bit more efficient and sticking to your identity and running the ball? Yeah, I'm not looking for this guy to be a 5,500-yard passer. I'm looking at him to improve the passing game incrementally, just a little bit. Hurts is never going to be a 20-20 guy. Put up big numbers. But you know what he's going to do? He's going to win games that matter, and he's going to close games out. Dude,
I agree.
At the end of the day, isn't that the identity you want your quarterback to play? That's Troy Aikman.
Well, that's the identity the team has established as a whole. Now, I will say this though: the NFL is fast paced. If we think we're going to come into this year and be able to run over everybody again, you're not. Teams are going to come into this game with us prepared to stop the run, prepared to do things differently, you know, to make it look a little different. So Based on that, I'll tell you some of my bold predictions are a little bigger than you just went. But I agree with the premise of what you're saying. You don't need to fall in love with Hurts looking like this or this or this guy. He needs to continue to be the best quarterback inside the system they've asked him to play in Philly, and it's obviously worked. So if he continues to do that, I think we'll be in good spot for sure.
What do you think is more likely to happen this year with the Eagle offense? The passing game improves, or Barkley goes for 2,100 yards?
I think the passing game, because I think you're going to take Barkley out of the game more. Defenses are going to be more hell-bent. In a way, Steve Spags, as much as Hurts torched him, he did show a little bit of tape about what you can do to slow down Saquon Barkley. I would expect more teams to implement that. And one of the reasons for my bold prediction on Jalen Hurts, which you guys will hear in a little bit, is because of exactly what you're talking about right now. There were several games last year. Pittsburgh comes to mind. The Super Bowl comes to mind. The NFC title game comes to mind, where Jalen Hurts needed to beat teams through the air. He needed to throw the ball effectively to get points on the board. He still had his defense, but he needed to do that. He did it. There wasn't that many instances last year that it needed to go that way. Think about it. We talked about this like, boy, if you ever get down in a game, are you going to be able to throw yourself back into it? They never even tried. They never even had to try. But the moments that they did, the passing game showed up. So if it goes from 3 to 8 or 9 or 10 games next year that they have to do that, and they can answer that call on 80% of them, what is that going to do for Jalen Hurts' stats, for Saquon Barkley's stats, or for AJ's, for Devontae's, for all of those guys? So I think the passing game is going to improve, but not from anything that they're going to do. Oh, what's the one quick fix? What's the magic box say on what we – I don't think it's going to be that. Right. I think it's going to be the team has talent. They're going to have to use that talent more because of the situation the games are putting them in this year.
Do you want to get to your bold predictions, or do you want to get to Howie Roseman and Nick and his draft classes during the Sirianni era? Now, I didn't put everybody down here, but I went and asked Jimmy last night to do me a favor on a draft value chart. And you know what he did for me? Look at this. Jimmy put a value on the players that have made the team and the players that you'd be shocked who got higher grades that were drafted later. What do you want to do? You want to do your bold predictions?
It's your show. I don't want to tell you what to do.
I'm asking you. It's my show. I'm telling you. What do you want to do? You want to do these bold predictions? Or you want to do this?
Let's do the bold predictions first,
all right,
and then
let's
go because I think that topic that you have is a whole that deserves its own life.
Oh,
but I do want to rebuttal, and I will say we're gonna get some content out of these bad boys. All right. By the way, am I missing one? I wrote down your bold predictions yesterday. I have 9. Why don't I have 10? I have Eagles, 11 wins, just to recap Sills' bold predictions. Commanders win the NFC East.
Yep.
Tight ends will combine for 4 touchdowns or less.
Yep.
Saquon under 1,400 yards.
Yep.
Jalen under 4K and 30 tutties.
Yep.
Jalix Hunt more sacks than Nolan Smith.
6.5.
Mora Jomo to the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
Jalen Carter under 9.5, which wasn't very bold. He had 4.
And Cooper DeJean all pro.
That's it. That's 9. Okay, so you had 9 bold predictions. All right, good. I came up with 10, and they're bangers. Let me tell you, they're bangers. Let's start off with a banger. All right. Number 1 bold prediction. Jalen Hurts will finish top 3 in the MVP race in 2025.
Oh, my God. That means that they're asking him to do more. That team will lose 7 games.
No, they're not. Stop.
They didn't ask him to do that last year. Now, all of a sudden, he's going to be an MVP candidate.
When they did ask him, he was an MVP.
Okay. He wasn't.
Said the sample size for him having to do that is going to be higher.
The star in that huddle last year was Barkley, not Hurts.
Senor says top 3, not bold. I think that's pretty bold. Top 3 prediction.
It is bold.
Top 3 in the MVP. Okay. Number 2. For the first time since 2004, the Philadelphia Eagles will repeat as NFC East champions.
Not happening.
Ending a 20-year drought of repeat winners. The Philadelphia Eagles will win the NFC East.
Hey, you want to hear this, though? I'll give you a little bit here. I don't think they win the East, but I think they make the NFC Championship game.
Okay, I like that. They're going to win the East. I mean, come on.
All right, all right.
Number 3, the Eagles will win 13 games in 2025.
11 to 13? Sure. I'm in there.
Came down 1 from last year. Number 4, the defense will finish top 5 in the NFL.
Oh, no. You'll be lucky if that thing's in the top 13.
Top 5 in the NFL.
No way. That will be the Lindbergh Cheese defense. It took a blowtorch to his no holes. A blowtorch.
Top 5 in the NFL. Number 5. This is a direct shot at Big Sills'. And this is not an Eagle prediction, but it's related to the Eagles. The Commanders will regress back to 3rd place in the NFC East, and the Cowboys will finish 2nd in the NFC East.
With what?
Dak Prescott returns. Last time he played, they had 12 wins.
That's not good enough.
We'll see. We'll see. So Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders is my ranking for the NFC East next year. Number 6.
These are horrible.
Jalen Carter and Zach Bond will both finish first team All-Pro. That's not that bold, that one.
That, because of Carter, I'll tell you this. Do you agree with this? God forbid, and I'm knocking on wood. Watch this, folks. If that guy gets hurt, Bond has a horrible year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
That guy's the centerpiece to all those guys having, even my guy, Cooper, having a great year, dude.
Yeah.
He
Curtis
can't.
is right. Bond repeating is going to be hard, too.
It is.
Repeating as first team All-Pro is not that easy.
With the linebacker position in the game today, absolutely.
I agree. Number 7, Josh Uche.
Oh, God.
Will be the best bargain signing of the summer, and he'll get 6 sacks this year.
That's not horrible on 6 sacks.
Well, I did some research on these players. I'm looking into all the players that we signed. Everybody likes this Azeez Ojulari. All right, Azeez Ojulari was a steady player in his career. It was never really good. It was never really bad.
On bad defense.
In the field, but his highs weren't that high. If you look at Josh Uche, his highs in the NFL, he had 2 years where his grading in pass rushing was through the roof and rated close to a 90, which is a really good grade. So
I think that's probably the year Bryce Huff probably won that rating thing.
My prediction, though, is based on I believe Vic Fangio is going to look at that player and say, I know how to get the best back out of you. I'm not going to use you as an every down guy, but I know how to get you into situations where you can be a good football player. I think Josh Uche is going to be the best bargain signing.
Kyle, I need you to do me a favor, my statistician in here. The year that Uche kid had those 10 sacks, was that the year that the Patriots defense finished 4th? Because if that's the case, because one of those years, remember they won, they didn't win a ton of games, but they finished in the top 10. And that might have been the year that he had those 10 sacks. So, Kyle, do me a little research there. Go ahead. Let me hear some more of these bullshit things.
Ready? Number 8, Jalen Hurts will throw for 4K and 30 touchdowns.
Woo! He's going to go from 2903 to 4K. How you
4K
doing?
incoming, everybody. Get
ready.
Wait,
Xander, this is a big deal here for your boy in that prediction on Uche. The year that he had 10 sacks, they were in the top 10. Get this. That's an impact. That's an impact 10-sack year.
I like Uche. I'm Uche's number 1 fan. Let's go.
Uchi Coochie.
All right, Jalen, 4K 30. I had to do that. Silio's, he went under 4K 30. I'm going over 4K 30. Fuck Sills.
Never.
Number 9, the defense will have more sacks than they did in 2024. They had 45 sacks in 2024. I think they're going to beat that number in 2025.
With a bunch of backups and a bunch of Uches. Okay. All right.
Keep crying, so
hey, I'll bet you this. I bet you they have more picks than they had last year.
No. You got rid of Gardner Johnson. You got rid of Slay. I don't think so.
Okay. They're going to throw the ball. You know why? I think there's going to be more passing attempts because of Slay and Gardner Johnson not being fucking back there.
That's fair.
I think they're going to try to do that and throw the ball more against Philly this year. They're surely not going to try to run it.
And number 10.
Oh, God.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
No way.
Will repeat as Super Bowl champions. Only the 10th time in NFL history.
Who they beaten? Who they beaten?
The Buffalo Bills.
Ooh, God, that'd be a great Super Bowl. It's in Santa Clara, so unfortunately the setting sucks. But I mean, yeah, that'd be a great Super Bowl. Buffalo and Philadelphia. Yeah, okay. Those have to be the worst. 4K.
Let's real quick. Let's run them back, top to bottom. Number 1, Jalen Hurts will finish top 3 in the MVP voting. Cash it in, folks. Number 2, Eagles will be the first team since 2004 to repeat as NFC East champions. Cash it. Number 3, the Eagles will win 13 football games this year. Cash it. Number 4, the defense will finish top 5 in the NFL. Cash it. Number 5, the Cowboys will beat out the Communists for the second team in the NFC East. Cash it. And 6, Carter and Vaughn will be first team All-Pro.
I like that.
7, Uche will be the best bargain signing with 6 sacks. Number 8, Hurts, 4K yards and 30 tutties. Cash it. 9, defense, more sacks than 24. They'll get over 45 sacks. Cash it. And number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles will be the 10th team in Super Bowl history. Repeat as champions. What a fucking list.
Those are fucking horrible, man. Oh, my God. Holy cow, he's still on the float parade. It's all right. I got it.
90% from the field.
Hey, I want to show you something here. I've got bold predictions for the 2025 NFL season.
Oh, see, I'm taking all your ideas on these. I'm going to do those. I'm going to do the Jalen Hurts ones. I'm going to take all your ideas on these.
Right. I take yours. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You ready? All right. By the way, we'll read all of your super chats. Please hit the like button here. So here's a 2025. Then we'll do that drafting with Howie and Nick. 2025 Big Sills NFL bold predictions. Number 1, even though it's going to be a massive hit, I think the Browns are going to cut Deshaun Watson.
Wow. I like that.
They got to figure it out, dude, but they're going to cut him. Number 2, I think Kyler Murray is going to make a push to be the MVP this year in the league. I don't think he wins it, but I think this guy, last time he played against you, he beat you with nobodies.
That's a long way from being the fucking MVP of the league, guy.
How you doing? I think that guy's good
in that combo.
He's going to be an MVP candidate in 2025.
Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray. Mark
What are
it.
you on?
Number 3, James Cook of the Bills will lead the AFC in rushing.
I like that one.
With 1,600 yards. You're going to dig this one. Number 4, I think Bryce Young goes for 4K passing.
Yeah, I agree. I like that one a lot.
I think he has a bounce back, and I'll tell you what, man. I saw that dude play against Philly, man. He was good.
Yeah, that's a better prediction than Kyler fucking Murray to the MVP list.
Number 5, the Dallas Cowboys will lose 11 ball games.
Oh, my goodness. I wouldn't be mad if you're right about that one and I'm wrong. I wouldn't be mad about that.
Yeah. Cowboys lose 11 games in 2025 and put a nail in Dak Prescott's career as a Dallas Cowboy quarterback. Sorry, Mark Holmes. Number 6, Trevor Lawrence throws for 4,000 yards with the Jaguars.
And how many picks? 48?
How about this one? Number 7.
Trevor Lawrence fucking stinks.
The Los Angeles
that
Chargers
go ahead.
will win the AFC West.
Who? LA Chargers?
Yep.
They
They win the AFC West with Jim Harbaugh.
I don't dislike that.
Hey, by the way, I heard John say something on your show today. Nick worked 4 years with Phillip Rivers. He was a quarterback coach in San Diego. He was a wide receiver coach in San Diego. Then he had him when he was in Indianapolis, when he was the offensive coordinator for Frank. So he worked. That's why he loves him so much, because he's had a lot of time. He was his quarterback coach, wide receiver coach, OC for Frank. So he's had all the dynamics.
I'm kind of with Mad Bird. I like Denver in that West.
Denver's that's a good one too. I think Kansas. Dude, do you agree? I think Kansas City's going to take a step back. They've lost a lot of dudes, and they're getting old. Chris Jones is getting old. Travis Kelce's old.
Yeah,
they got rid of today. I mean, dude. I mean,
where are we going? Closed?
What?
You think their window's closed?
No, I think they'll revamp because the quarterback's so good.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go through a Brady spell like this, Andrew. They're going to win a bunch. They're going to go down for 3 years, and then they're going to get back up there again because the QB's so young.
Right.
Here's number 8. The Dolphins will fire Mike McDaniel and GM Chris Greer mid-season.
Ooh. Okay.
So eventually, you got to win, don't you? You got to win something there.
I mean, they've had so much struggle with the quarterback getting hurt and no consistency and all that. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, I was never a fan of him as a head coach.
Number 9. The Washington Commanders win 12 ball games in the NFC East.
That's a shit prediction.
Number 10. For the first time in his coaching career, Mike Tomlin will have a losing season in Pittsburgh.
It's hard to bet against that because he's never had it, but I really feel like you're right. How are you going to have a winning season with Justin? Who's he got now? Does he even have a quarterback?
No.
They got rid of Fields. Fields went to New York.
Yeah. Who's the quarterback? I don't even know. Who's the backup there?
Now, what if they drafted Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe? What if they got Shadur Sanders? Are you out on Shadur?
Maybe 500.
Are you out on Shadur?
What?
Are you out on Shadur? Because John McMullen does not like him at all. I like him. I'm starting to like him more and more.
What are you impressed with? You're impressed with who he is.
This is where it comes from. I think the entire NFL world is overly infatuated by sexy, by their amazing talent, the arm, they're that, all these things. I just watched Jalen Hurts defy that. I just watched it with my own 2 eyes in this city for the last 4 years. I think the intangibles of Shadur Sanders, coupled with the pro-style skill set that he has, I know it doesn't wow you, but I believe he has the swagger and the charisma to change the trajectory of an organization. I believe that. And I believe part of it is genetic. And it comes right from his father and DeJean Sanders. And he went to Jackson State, and him and his dad turned it around. And he went to Colorado, and they turned it around. I think he's okay. If you're talking about first-round picks and how many of them miss, I think he's worth the gamble.
What's been the common denominator with Shadur Sanders? Here's why I think it's going to be tough for him. What is the common denominator for Shadur Sanders at Jackson State and at Colorado? What's the one common denominator? His dad.
His dad, the coach, right.
Well, his dad set the environment for him to succeed.
That's true.
Will he go to a place that has a culture of winning and knows how to utilize his skill set for him to be able to continue that process and development? Because everywhere Sanders has gone, Shadur, his dad has carved out the winning attitude and the winning culture in that building for him. Are you going to have a coach and an organization tailor that around him? Is it there already? Because most of the time, Xander, when you're drafted high like that, the culture in those buildings blow. So you're going to a losing environment.
How much of it was him versus dad? I hear you.
Okay. His dad carved all that out for him, no matter where it was.
Yeah.
You know, Shadur would have been successful with DeJean if he went to Paluca University. It wouldn't have mattered. He would have carved it out for him, and they would have won. How many places do you see players go when they're in college? All of a sudden, they go to the pros, and that environment is not conducive to that kid, and that kid massively fails. I mean, it matters where you get drafted. Look, what's the common thing with Jalen Hurts playing at Alabama and playing in Philly? Nick Saban recruited the best players and got the best players in the country to go to Tuscaloosa. What's the one common denominator in Philadelphia that's in line with Nick? That's in Philadelphia. Howie Roseman, getting the best players in Philadelphia that they possibly can to fill the best roster. Don't you see the similarities that everywhere Hurts has gone, even Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma?
Yes.
Everywhere he's gone, coaches know how to tool that place with the best players so that that skill set, again, gives you latitude of failure and success. Jalen's never been in a losing environment in his entire life. There's a value to that, Xander.
I agree 100%. Now, you're not wrong about DeJean, but like, can we educate this dickbag, Senor Football? Cole Roy was 9-4. Yo, Senor, I'm not sure if you've ever watched a game of college football in your life, but before DeJean showed up, people didn't go to Boulder, Colorado to play football, okay? He completely changed that place, and anybody that watches college football knows that, whether you thought they were successful or not. It's
1-11
comment by a stat reader.
They were 1-11 prior to him showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Boulder, Colorado.
Years and years prior, like in the 90s under McCarthy, Bill McCarthy, they were great. They recruited great. They were in the Big Eight. They were a fantastic football program. But that program hasn't been good since the mid-90s.
Yeah, long time.
It's been a long time, and DeJean goes into that place and absolutely transforms it. Now, the only problem that I have with DeJean doesn't like to go into kids' homes. He recruits Zoom. And, you know, I think for you to get those big-time kids to want to come play for you. Now, I'll tell you this. Travis Hunter is the greatest example of what DeJean did. He took that kid, won the Heisman Trophy. He's going to be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. He's going to be one of the most sought-after kids. He's got a great shoe contract already. You know what I would say? Hey, coach, can you do that for me? Yes, I'm Deion Sanders. I did it for me, and I did it for my kid, and I did it for Travis. That's a great recruiting tool, dude.
I know, but I don't disagree. I don't dislike it as much as you, the not going to kids' homes. Think about it. In a day and age where these kids are given everything, and I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but I'm saying you're a 5-star recruit. You get unlimited shoes. You get unlimited college offers. We'll come and wow you to steak dinners and all these things. We'll give you this. We'll give you this booster. Deion's like, I'll talk to you on Zoom. You want to get benefit from me as a player, as a man, as a coach? You come to my program, all right? I'm not coming to you and laying out a silver platter because you got to earn it in life. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
I think he's the only guy that could probably get away with that.
I agree. And he's a little bit using what he's built, but to his credit, he can.
He's using his primetime brand that he's
like made. Here, ask me this. Take out all the fluff. Take out all of the visits and the boosters and all those things. If Kalen DeBoer calls you to come and play, or Deion Sanders calls you to come and play, and you're a 5-star, 17, 16-year-old athlete trying to get out of wherever they came from, trying to do make success for their family, who are you going to play for? I'm going to play for Deion. I don't know about you guys. I'm going to play for Deion.
But hear me out on why it's different today. If I play in an SEC stadium, that means my nil's bigger. And that means I'm more exposure because of the SEC. My problem with Alabama now is that I don't believe that's Alabama anymore. I think that's Alabama 2.0. And so, hey, am I going to be a 10, 11 win team? Maybe. When Nick was there, that's a 12, 13 win team.
Right.
But remember, Xander, that exposure the SEC gives you on a week-to-week basis where you're playing against LSU,
Yeah.
When you're at Colorado, you know you're
No,
playing against
there's no doubt.
TCU.
Yeah.
You're playing TCU,
I'm talking
K-State.
about, though, leave all that aside because I understand that that's a factor. But from a raw standpoint,
No. If a guy picks the phone up,
DeJean has the advantage.
if I'm picking the phone up, if there's two phones ringing and Ken DeBoer's phone's ringing and Deion's ringing, I'm obviously picking.
And all things are equal, you're going to Dejon every time. All right.
Yeah.
So, here's the other thing I'll say. All right. I know people don't care. People think the Giants blow. People think the Cowboys blow. I get it. They do. All right. If the Giants use the 3rd overall pick to draft Deion Sanders, I'll predict to draft Junior. I predict Deion's the coach there after this year. They're going to fire Brian Daboll after 1 year. They're going to bring in Deion Sanders as the head coach. And further, okay, if he falls, if he does not get drafted in the top 10, and the Cowboys are sitting there at 12, I could see easily Jerry Jones saying, forget all of our needs. Give me that guy. That's a marketing gold mine. It's exactly what he did to Tony Romo when he drafted Dak Prescott. I could see it easily, him falling in the NFC East. And I think the best way to have Shadur Sanders succeed is to put him in a big market. If you put him in a Tennessee, if you put him in Carolina, if you put him in any of those, it's not going to work as good. If you put him in a big market team, I think all of that leverage will work in his favor.
You want me to tell you who I think the next New York Giants head football coach is?
I would love to hear this.
I think it's Bill Belichick. That organization has coveted him
forever.
Yep. He cut his bones there.
Since he won.
The only thing that would stop that is the 7. Then again, he's pulling 24-year-old chicks now, so I don't know. I mean, the only thing that would stop that would be his age.
I agree.
Okay? That would be the only thing. But the Maras, dude, I mean, he got taking the Cleveland job because what's his name was 2 weeks later when he resigned, Parcells. The heir apparent in that building was supposed to be Belichick.
Yeah, but Sills, you think he'd go through all this if the end goal for him was always to return to the NFL? Like, why go through all this with UNC?
But it's the Giants.
I know, but with this UNC stuff, dude, like this is a commitment. You know how it is. I mean, he's out there recruiting players every day. You got NIL, you got GMs now in organizations. Like being a college coach is no joke.
He's the GM of that
UNC so I'm saying, like, I have a hard time believing that Bill at 72 made the commitment to UNC just to jump off in a year.
Remember what he did, though, was part of the job and him getting that job, that they hired his son.
Yeah.
His son's on that coaching staff.
So he got an off-ramp.
And that's right. There's an off-ramp and an understanding that if he leaves, the kid gets the job, Steven. So I don't know. I just keep an eye on something.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. I promise we'll read all your super chats. I want to do something cool here before the bottom of the hour, Gary Cobb. I went back and during the Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman era, which is 21 to 24 drafts. And I had by the way, Jimmy, and I'll tell you this, Tony Dungy wants to come on way more because you guys treated him so good. He had such a great time. He didn't want to leave yesterday.
He was excellent.
He was just so good. So we're going to have Coach Dungy on a lot more.
I said it yesterday. I hope, and I know we have the best listeners in the world, but I hope they understand how cool it is that, we have a program right here that they listen to every single day for free and whatever it is. And it bring on names like that. It's pretty incredible. You won't find another Eagles YouTube channel that covers this team that talks to guys like that consistently. You won't find it anywhere. So enjoy it, everybody. That's some prime football talk right there.
Absolutely. I think all the shows that we have are better than they've ever been in my 4 years going on 5 in April.
Yeah.
That we've had such a better group and really some great content. I think we have the best content going on right now we've had in 5 years.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to start this here, and I'm going to show you what. And I had a conversation with JJ last night. I went back to 21, and we even did the 24 draft. And this is what we came up with, and Jimmy came up with. So I didn't put every name down. I put guys that were impact guys. So in 2021. Patrick Johnson was a 7th-round pick. Do you know he's played 60 ball games in the NFL at a 7th-round pick? You know what JJ gave that pick? He gave that pick a C+. 60,
Who was it? Patrick Johnson?
yeah, he's played 60
He
games.
just got signed back. You know that, right?
Yeah, he's played 60 games.
Yeah.
That's a C+ pick.
Like, I agree. At a 7, you could argue it's higher than that. But
No shit, I thought it was
Jimmy
a
says
B-.
I'm gonna take Jimmy's
I
word
think
for it.
that's 60 fucking games is insane for a 7th rounder. Kenny Gainwell. He was a 5th-round pick.
Rounder.
Jimmy gave that a B.
Yeah. Contributed.
And because of the value of where he was taken at 5. Right. Zach McPherson, he gave that a low grade. I won't lie. Gave that a D.
Well,
Okay.
That's the only guy in this, one of the only guys in the top 4 or I think 4 rounds that the Eagles have drafted in the last 4 years who ultimately was cut or didn't contribute to the team. And actually, if you look at Zach's career, he actually contributed in his early career. First year and second year, he was a key special teams guy, and he did play a reserve role. Now, it wasn't great. The team wasn't great, but for a 6th or for a, what was he, a 5th rounder or 4th rounder? So, yeah, I mean, he did something, but, yeah, not great.
Okay, get this. Milton Williams got an A from Jimmy.
I believe that.
Because he was a 3rd rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Landon Dickerson got an A because he was a 2nd rounder, and Devontae got it. You had 3 A picks. That is a fucking tremendous draft in 20. Remember how I've been telling you, hey, all these – that's a fucking A draft.
Devontae, Landon, Milton as your top 3 picks. That's
A guys.
That's good picks. Those are
A
good
guys.
picks right.
You had 3 A picks in a draft?
Yep.
Bro. Let's go to 22. Grant Calcaterra, 6th-round pick. C+. He plays. He contributes. Is he a frontline guy? No. But he plays and contributes, and he starts. He's a 6th-round pick. That's not supposed to happen. That's a quality pick, dude. That's a really good take. Now, look, again, is he a guy you're going to put in your starting? No, but he does play. He's a contributor to your team, and they like him and they want him on the roster. The World Championship roster.
Mm-hmm.
Xander, that's a really good pick. Now, look, is he what they're looking for? No, but he fills a role there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay?
Not my favorite player, but I'll take it.
Here's the one problem you have with Nakobe at 3. Got a C+. It's the health stuff.
It's the health. It's too much. Too much.
Proved the only reason he gets a C+ is because he has proved he can play.
Yeah, I agree. That pick would be an F if he didn't prove he could play last year.
And if he was healthy, it would be an A.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cam Jurgens, an A. 2nd-round pick. Anytime you get a starter and then he turns into a Pro Bowler.
Yep.
I mean, get this, in the last 2 drafts, you got 4 A guys. Jordan Davis was the toughest one we had of all the drafts, the 4 drafts we talked about. Jimmy gave him a C+ because of the playing time issue. He's got a problem with the playing time issue. However, I asked him, would you want Jordan Davis on your team? He said, yes. And I would try to convince the agent and the player to understand that there's a role for him. I'm not suggesting he take less money, but they may offer him less years. Jimmy goes, I'd offer him in increments of 2 years instead of 3-year contracts.
Right.
I don't want to give him I don't want to get tied into that because I may go a different route. Something may happen. So he suggests shorter contract years instead of less money. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting way to look at it.
Because he doesn't want to get tied around the player.
Right.
So that's the 22. To me, look at this. That's a great pick. That's another great draft. You're right, Xander. 21 and 22, really good draft choices there because they're all contributing.
And you only had 5 picks in 22. I mean, and you hit on 4 of them contributing to your team: Jordan, Cam, Dean, and Calcaterra.
Yep,
that's pretty good.
This 23 is fucking insane. Moro Ajomo got a B plus from Jimmy.
Yeah.
He's a 7th rounder, and he's going to start this year.
And he had 400 snaps last year, and
he had over 400 snaps last year. A 7th rounder is now a starter on your defensive front. I would give him an A.
That's insane. I agree. That's
Look
an
at
A.
the value at that pick.
That's an A to me for a 7th rounder.
I agree.
That's worth 1 point on the Jimmy Johnson value chart of draft picks, and you got a starter out of that. That's pretty good.
Number 6, you're going to be stunned. Tanner McKee. Jimmy gave him a B.
Yeah, I believe it. He's going to be the backup now.
He goes like this. He goes, so wait a minute. You drafted this guy in the 6th round. Nobody really liked him. He went up there and threw for over 300 yards in the ball game when you had him step in. He showed that he could play in the league. He showed some skills that people would want to potentially try to develop. He'll always have a job in this league.
Yeah.
That's a B pick.
That's a B pick. And he's going to be your backup quarterback this year now.
So let me get this right. In 2023, your 7th and 6th round picks are B plus, me and you, A and a B. I even got to the top.
Forget my opinion for a second. I don't give a shit about my opinion.
Hey, by the way, I haven't even got to the top guys. Yeah. Keely Ringo got a C because of the limited amount of playing time that he has in the unknown. Jimmy did say this, though. He's 21. And I'm like, I go, he's 21. I mean, he's been on the team since he's like 20.
Yeah.
And he goes like this. He goes, oh, I'm keeping a kid like that around because you know what? One day he may wake up. He's not Deion, but he's Deion's cousin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay.
Sure. Sometimes it takes a second for these young guys for it to click, man. It's a man.
He told me not to be so hard on him. He said, let him play in the exhibition season.
Right.
Sidney Brown, a 4th round pick. He got a C because of health issues.
Sidney was a 3rd rounder, right?
Yeah. Sidney was a 3rd rounder, correct. Yeah.
3rd rounder.
Jimmy gave him a C because of health issues.
I agree. I think C's appropriate for him. I don't think it's D because he's been good on special teams, but C is good.
Oh, and he does show. No, check this out. Tyler Steen got a C plus.
Yeah, I agree. That's right where I was thinking on him.
That's what now look, C plus 3rd round.
Didn't win the job. Did a 3rd round pick, you could argue, won him to win the job. Didn't win the job
on the Eagles, though.
It's true. Well, here's where I think you get a better answer on Tyler Steen. Talk to me in October. Right? If he wins the guard job or if he wins the job this year, okay, I think that pick gets upgraded. If he doesn't, it's probably a little lower.
Okay. I disagreed with Coach on this one. What do you think he gave Nolan Smith?
I think he gave Nolan Smith a B.
He did.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right.
He gave him
a guy, edge rusher, contributed in a big way in the playoffs. Haven't seen enough yet to pin your defense on him, so you can't give him an A, but contributed to the #1 defense and to the Super Bowl team as a 1st round pick. B.
I gave him a C plus, and he goes, why? I go, well, he hasn't shown. He goes, Dan, Charles Haley's first 2 years, he did shit. You know who else did shit? Derrick Henry. I mean, those 2 guys didn't do anything.
I'd actually give Nolan a B plus. And
he goes, I tell you what, the kid was really good when I watched him. He goes, the only problem you get with him is that that's somebody that his size would be a concern for him.
Right. I agree with that.
Would be his size.
Actually, I'd go as far as to say this though on Nolan Smith. And I know this would never happen, but the way I look at draft picks, like that if Nolan Smith never played another snap in Philly, which is not going to happen, I would be happy with that pick because you spent an asset on a guy that contributed to a Super Bowl. That's what it's all about, you know? So I'm happy with that pick. The guy had 4.5 sacks in the playoffs. I'm happy with that pick.
What's he have? 7 total? 7.5 total, something like that now?
What, last year?
Yeah.
Last year he had 6.5 total, but then he had 4.5 in the playoffs. He had 6.5 in the regular season, 4.5 in the playoffs. So he had 11 sacks last year, including the playoffs. And he didn't really start until week 5. And he really didn't get a lot of playing time until after Brandon Graham got hurt, which was, I think, the Jacksonville game.
Another great draft.
Yeah.
2024.
Wait, you didn't give Carter.
Oh, Well, you heard him yesterday. He
A
sees
plus,
Jerome in him.
A plus.
Well, it gives him an A. I mean,
He doesn't. He might
Jimmy
not.
doesn't believe in perfect. He said the only guy that he's seen that's an A plus player. Who do you think it was? He said it on the program.
Oh, yesterday?
Yeah.
A plus for the Eagles?
No, A plus that he's ever seen.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't hear it. Mahomes. Okay.
He says it's the best player I've ever seen at that position, a quarterback, and it's the most important. He goes, he's the only guy that's not tradable.
Right.
He says everyone else is.
Jalen Carter. Hey, I agree. By the way, Jason, thank you. It was the Rams game that Brandon Graham got hurt. Thank you.
2024. We agreed pretty much on this draft too. And then I'm going to give you his assessment on the last 4 years. 2024, he agreed with me. Trevor Keegan were to go in this year's draft, he'd probably be a third rounder. So he was a fifth rounder. He liked the fact he was a team captain at Michigan. He played over 35 ball games. Yep. He's with Stoutland. So he said, he goes, Tony Wise, his O-line coach, would love a player like this, and he sees why Stoutland likes the kid. He gave him a C. Trotter. Jimmy's only problem with Trotter, you want to hear this, what he said about him? It's funny. I can't believe he does all these things because I guess he gets asked to be a consultant like for the Jags, and he's a consultant for them using his value chart.
Right.
So he's really into this. And I go, what do you make of Trotter? He goes, Clemson kid, coached by Dabo. He's really good. He's just too slow. However, he makes up with his knowledge of the game and also his feel for the game.
Right, like his instinct.
Yeah, he says that, and in a position that you have to have instinct, which is maybe one of the most important outside of corner,
right?
You have to have that instinct in there. You know, if he can improve on his speed, he could be a player, he thinks. He goes, this year will be a telling sign what they end up doing with Trotter.
Yep, I agree.
Will Shipley, you know, do you remember a guy named Danny Woodhead? How many people in here remember Danny Woodhead?
Yeah, I remember Danny Woodhead.
He played for the Patriots.
Was on
their team, won a couple world championships.
White dude. I remember him.
Okay. That's who he sees Shipley as. He gave Shipley a C. He goes, he's like Danny Woodhead, like that kind of a guy who could catch about 20 balls for you, get you about 300 yards rushing. Yeah. You know, combined when he's never going to be your lead dude.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's hard, by the way. Did he say it's hard to grade 24? I mean, it is.
Yeah, he did. He did.
It's hard.
Yeah, but he said the one thing that about your 24 draft was that these guys all showed up.
I know. They all contributed, especially when you get to these top picks that you're getting to soon.
I fucking hated when he said this, but I guess so. He said this about Jalix Hunt.
Hey.
Gave him a B+.
B+. I'll take it, Jimmy.
He goes like this. He goes like this. He goes, for a guy that didn't know shit, that's the only thing he didn't know. This guy's a player that just doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
He goes, if Vic can show him what to do, okay? If he could just show him what to do, that's why he got better, Xander. He's got talent. He just didn't know what to do. I mean, where are you going to get Houston Christian? I mean, how much coaching are you going to get down there?
Yeah, a former safety from dad. Where did he play? Colgate?
Yeah, Colgate and Houston Christian. Somebody's dad's coaching. You know what I'm saying? Joe Krause is coaching him. Somebody's dad is coaching him. You know what I mean? I'm coach. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's getting really great coaching now. Dude, Cooper DeJean, he goes, he asked me first what I thought of him. And he goes, what would you do? I go, I think this kid's a superstar. I think this guy's a great player. He goes, yeah, he's an A player for me too, man. So he goes like this. He goes, man, you know, I keep him. I go, would you keep him where he is? He goes, absolutely. You know why? He runs around the middle. That's where I got that take from.
Right.
Jimmy wants him in the middle of the field instead of putting him to half the field, because when you put him to half the field, you know what that means? That means he's out of the play. I want him around the ball.
Right. And he wants him messing with quarterbacks. The middle of the field is where the quarterbacks start. You know?
That's where the game's played.
Exactly.
He wants him where the game's played, in the middle of the field. Q, he said, he said something really weird right out of the gate about Quinyon Mitchell. He goes, yeah, he's a Gator kid and played. He goes like this. He goes, yeah, he's a Gator kid. He played in the MAC. And, when we think of Gator guys here, especially when they recruit the best players. I go, Coach, he's a Toledo guy. He goes, the Gators wanted him 3 years after the fact when they didn't give him the initial college scholarship. They realized that he's from Wellington, Florida. Dude, he's 20 minutes away from Gainesville.
Oh, my God.
You know how many times that they went over to the mother's house offering money and all kinds of shit, but he felt so loyal to Toledo that he refused to go to Alabama and Florida. He's 20 minutes to the campus.
That's crazy. That's a great intel right there from Jimmy.
He goes, that kid is a guy who could have started on any team in the Southeastern Conference. I go, yeah. I said, Toledo. He goes, no, he's an SEC guy who had some grade problems, and there was a coach who believed in him. So I'm going to show you this here. So you got 3 A's from 21. You got 1 A in 22. You got in 23, you got 3 B's and an A. In 24, you got 2 A's and a B. That's some fucking insane drafting.
That's impressive.
For the 4 years, I would give those drafts overall, I would give that an A.
Yeah. Is that what Jimmy went with?
Yeah. He goes, that's how you build your team. This is why they're cutting guys. You know what he said to me? He goes, that's why they're cutting guys loose. They're cutting guys loose because the last 4 years. And he goes, and they got 20 draft picks coming up in the next 2 years. I'm not keeping high-priced guys either. I don't give a shit who you are. I'm cutting everybody who I think I can replace. They let loose of everybody that they think they can replace.
Yep.
Not that they didn't want them.
They're going to draw a line in the sand and say, you're either going to fall above it or you're going to fall below it. And if you're above it, we pay you. And if you don't, goodbye.
That's what they did.
Yep. I agree.
I didn't think it was that good, but when you go back over it, it's been really, his 4 years prior to that versus this 4 years.
Oh my God.
It's not remotely close.
It's not close. It's not close. It's almost like you can look at it and say, what the heck happened? What the heck happened?
I wonder how they're going to go in the next 2 years. I wonder how this is going to go.
I don't know if the coaching has anything to do with it, but one thing I do know is that Doug Peterson wanted Jalen Reagor.
Well, I know this now. Ever since that Jalen Reagor pick, something happened in the building.
But the only thing that changed since then really was the coaching staff.
Was Doug.
So, and I know for a fact, I've been told, John's talked about this numerous times, it's 100% Doug Peterson and the coaching staff wanted Jalen Reagor. So, I'm not trying to say all of the draft misses were Doug, because Howie's got to, eventually you got to fall on the sword here. You are the GM. But I don't know. I don't look at Nick Sirianni and think he's picking the draft picks.
So. You think that's one of the dynamics that changed after Doug, because Andy and Doug had some say in the draft picks? And quite frankly, now Nick has a role. Howie has a role. And it's more in the personnel people. How many times do you hear Nick say this? These guys do a great job evaluating. These guys do a great job of tooling the team. These guys he says it every press conference. He lays it in their lap.
Yeah. Look at Jay, though. Is Jay wrong? SEC drafting. That's what happened. Forget even just SEC. They just drafted good players. A lot of them are SEC, but the night and day difference in players they drafted is just unbelievable.
Well, Jay, let me ask you this. Where are you going to play football? In the Big Ten? Pac-12?
It's not the perfect comp because you got Quinyon and Coop and J-Lux. This year, right? All of them contributed. None of them are SEC.
But the averages of success are going to come out of the SEC more than any other place.
They're going to be higher out of there than
agreed. And now with Nil, that's going to isolate that even more with the Big Ten.
The Big Ten's good too.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Xander, how about after we read the Super Chats? What do you say after Gary Cobb here?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure Gary, because Gary would know much. There he is right there. So,
yeah.
That's good. I'll catch you after. We'll do the Supers, all right?
We'll do the Supers, everyone, so you guys can.
Great segment, Sills.
Yeah, can you believe what he said there, man? Jimmy Johnson about the drafting or what Howie Roseman has gone through here for the last, couple drafts here. So, again, we appreciate everybody. Please do me a favor, hit the Like John Gruden's going to join us this week, I believe. We had Jimmy Johnson and Tony Dungy yesterday. I was really glad to hear Coach Dungy yesterday. He had such a great time. So let's start it out here. Let's bring in our friend Gary Cobb from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. G Cobb, I got to throw this at you right away. I want to show you this. The Eagles were third in time of possession.
Mm-hmm.
And last year they were 29th in offense. What do you think is more likely to happen with this Eagle offense this year? Saquon Barkley going for 2,100 yards, or the Eagles improving the passing game where they can improve this offense and get a little bit more balance? What's more likely in your estimation?
I think they're going to improve the passing game. I don't think they can feed Saquon as much as they did him a year ago, and I think that's why you got A.J. Dillon. That's why they went out and they got them a back who is a big physical back like Saquon. He's not as fast, but he's a big physical back who I think that they could work him where he's carrying the ball. Let's say he's running the ball 7-8 times a game. But I don't think you can feed Saquon, at his age. I think that they want him to stay around as long as possible. You can see that with the deal that they gave him, the extension. But they cannot feed him the ball that much. I mean, he's a guy who he's not a spring chicken right now.
Over 400 touches a year ago that he had counting the playoffs.
That's you just can't expect him to be able to continue at that load. It opens the door to so many things, which is, injury, of course, which, you got to play, but you can't worry about injuries. They happen. But I think that, I know A.J. Brown because he basically said it. but they can do more in their passing game, and they've got to grow. And that means, of course, Jalen's got to grow. But there are a lot of situations they've got people in where, look, because they got that running game aimed at them like a gun, because they've got the running game aimed at them, teams can't do as much in their defense in the secondary. So I think that limits what they could do and really puts them in a situation. And you also got to worry about, Jalen running with the ball. Having to worry about all those things, it limits what you can do in pass defense. And that's why I expect them, and they got to grow in their passing game if they want to, if they want to win it again. I don't think that they're going to be able to rely as much because, like I said, it's, Saquon is human. Okay, he cannot carry the ball, but so much it's going to wear him down. And of course, like I said, you opening the door to injury. I think they've got to lean more on their passing game. And the thing about it is, they got the weapons to do it. They got the weapons to do it. We're going to see what they're going to do at tight end. They're making all of the kind of sounds and things like Dallas Goedert might get moved. You see, they went out. They got some free agents. They got one guy who's a better receiver. The other guy's a better blocker. It's a way of trying to at least have something there. But the thing is, they got some outstanding receivers. They've got to be able to lean on them and lean on Jalen to the point to where they can lean on that passing game more, because they cannot feed the ball to Saquon and rely on the running game. Now, they're still going to be a running team, but I think they've got to be able to do more in the passing game.
Gary, if you were Vic Fangio in the organization, would you leave Cooper DeJean in the slot, or would you move him out the corner?
I think he helped them more in there at the slot because the guy will tackle. Look, I mean, I kid with some of them when go in the locker room. Go like, oh, hey, don't start running there. There's a tackle over there's got to be made. Those corners don't want to tackle, man. I mean, they're just not. It's just gotten to where more and more, they're out there playing, pass defense, and they're not crazy about tackling. you got a kid here who's got good size. He's willing to tackle, and the kid is smart too. He's got a great the instincts for football, which is, when you're in there in a way, you're playing linebacker.
Yeah.
You look.
He's like Kyle Hamilton and John Lynch back in the day. Where get this, I said this,
but the son of a gun can run.
He can, and you know what, too? I mean, I'd rather have him in the middle of the field where the action is, than over on the numbers, because I got to tell you, Gary, there's a part of me that likes Cooper DeJean, more of an impact player. I'm not saying Q is not going to have an impact career.
Yeah.
But, boy, I got to tell you, I like that kid in the middle of the field, covering tight ends and covering running backs out of the backfield. I think he shrinks that zone there, doesn't he?
I like him because he's got a good feel for it. He plays zone very well. You see how he could looking at the quarterback's eyes and breaking on the ball. And then he's got a good job of being able to take on a block, get off a block. Seen him do all those things. You don't see that very much in the NFL anymore, where you got guys in that nickel because guys that can run and are corners, they're not crazy about tackling people, and they got this kid who's able to do it. I know people would be interested, want to see him outside and everything. And if they did have him play outside, see, you play so much nickel, it's not like he doesn't play as much as the corners, because you play so much nickel. It's not like it used to be, where you would have a guy who's one of your better players. You're going to have him play corner, and then when you go nickel, you have him slide in there and play nickel. But they play so much nickel, he's going to be out there anyway. And then he's a good blitzer too.
Yeah.
So he does all those things. And now, if you found another kid who can do these things, you could think about moving him outside. Where's the guy at? I haven't seen him over there.
Gary, so you don't think they have cornerback number 2 on the roster right now?
Well, no. I quarterback number 2 could be on the roster. Ringo. What's his name? Kelly Ringo.
Kelly Ringo. You think he can take that role there?
He could. He's a big kid. He's got the skills. He's seen things enough. He should be biting at the bit to get in there, because the kid's got the physical tools. You don't know if he's got the feel for the game and everything. We'll have to see about that. But tools wise, you got a big kid that can run. That's what you got in Ringo. So,
and he's 21.
Come on. Yeah, I mean, I could see where they're going to let him grow. And then the thing about it is that they don't ask you to be on. You're not out there on your own, but so much.
You're in a too high zone. You're not asked to go, man.
That's right. Not as much as other teams.
Yeah.
Now they will play man. They do, but it's not where they're just living in it. See.
No.
So if a kid over there, if he just plays smart football, and that's what you hope Ringo can do that. But he has the physical tools, because he can run, and he's as big as any of the DBs.
Gary, let me ask you, playing the linebacker position, what do you make of Trotter? What do you think of him as a prospect? What do you think of him as a player? I mean, I had a conversation with Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy's a consultant for the Jags, and he said one thing about him. He goes, his instincts are great. I mean, he understands the position.
Yeah,
he's just too slow, man. I mean, he's got to improve in his speed, but you could tell that his pop has prepped him for understanding the position. I mean, can you get away with that if you know where to go, Gary? Can you get away with that if you don't? Because the game is played in so much space today.
That's right.
Can he get away with that, not being a 4-5 guy?
Well, especially, like you said, the way they play the game today, a linebacker has to cover more space now. He's and so being able to run, and that's why Bourne, son of a gun, can run. That's why he was able to step in there. But I do think, that Jeremiah Trotter Jr., he does have a great feel for the game. The kid is smart. And so a lot of times he's anticipating things. And that's the reason I think he can, because, when I look at the kid that was here before. What is it?
Burks?
No, not Burks. The kid that was here the year before that went out to
Kaiser White?
it went to Chicago.
Oh, TJ Edwards.
Edwards, yeah. Now, when I see him, I see Trotter Jr. You know,
Huh.
he's not that fast. I don't think he's any faster than him, but he's always anticipating everything. He's smart, and therefore he's a step ahead. And that's the way he's got to play because Trotter Jr. He is not a burner. I don't know what they timed him
you
in.
See some of the similarities in TJ.
I see some of them. Yeah, because both smart players.
Yeah.
They don't have the great physical tools, but because they're smart, they're good to have out there because they keep everybody else thinking, and he's able to be in position because he's a step or two ahead of everybody. Thinking wise.
I want to throw this at you here, and
but they are going to go at him if he goes in there. They're going after him because with Bourne now, they're going to challenge the other guy.
Absolutely. Here, let me throw this at you here. You and I don't think people understand. We don't look at numbers like, well, those are stats. You and me look at trends because we used to get a trend book every Wednesday when it came to game plans of what teams like to do and what a player likes to do, what a quarterback's favorite plays are, who they are. I want to show you this here on who Jalen Hurts is for the last 4 years. He averages 3,238 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, 9 picks, 64.4 completion percentage, 93.5 quarterback rating, 692 yards rushing. This is in a 17-game average, 12 rushing TDs, 150 attempts rushing a year, 4.6 in carries per year. For people to be thinking that this guy's going to be a 4,500-yard passer, that's not what he is. Yeah. But Gary, this is winning football. This right here actually now is championship football. If you think about it, 2 NFC champ, that quarterback doing this, okay? That quarterback doing this has resulted in 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl. I say this to improve the team. If they get 3,300 passing yards and 22 touchdowns, 8 picks, 68 completion percentage, 650 yards rushing, 14 TDs. They'll win 15 ball games just with this amount of improvement in the offense.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is they don't really have to improve that much for the team to get better. Now, the defense has got a lot of questions, but that offense, we're not looking like he's got to carry the entire football team.
Well, I know their schedule is going to be tougher, though. See, their schedule is going to be tougher. And, I don't, you can't ask the defense. I don't think they'll be as dominant as they were last year. So we need him to we're going to put the ball in his hands a little more though, where he's going to be able to throw in the ball, and of course he can utilize his legs and everything, but he's going to be throwing the ball a little more. And the thing is that I think he's going to feel a little bit better. He's going to have seen. He's going to be playing really in the same offense. Not going to be making any changes necessarily. Where you got a guy who was here as one of the assistant coaches, so you're going to be running the same offense. So he doesn't have to make a big jump. No, he doesn't have to big jump. But the big thing he's done is he got in the field for, of course, taking care of the football. That's the number one thing, is take care of that football. But he's got to feel more comfortable. He's got the same receivers out there with AJ and Devontae. And we'll see about Dallas, but I think that you could expect he needs to make some improvement, but I don't think he needs to just totally reinvent himself. No, I don't think he does.
Couple last ones here for you, Gary. What do you think is the biggest position that will be the toughest position to replace with the guys? Right guard with Becton, defensive end with Milton, edge with Josh, strong safety with CJ, or Slay at the corner. What do you think is the toughest spot that they're the most concerned with right now?
Well, I in looking at what I see, you know, Milton Williams to me is gonna be the guy that, you know, because they're gonna double Jalen Carter. They're always gonna try to double him.
Or doubles are coming, I think, too.
Yeah, they're gonna try to double. They need a guy that other defensive tackle he's got to be making some noise. He's gonna be single block. So I think that guy there, you know, Milton Williams, he made noise when he was single block. He made some noise. Make the quarterback move. You got to beat that guy that single block. You got to beat that. I think they need a guy there. I think that's what they're probably looking for in this draft. They try to get him. And I wouldn't be shocked, you know, they'll give up some of those 5th round picks to move up there and get that guy that they want in that 1st round, a defensive tackle who can beat that single block while Carter's being doubled. They need a guy that, you know, he was able to do it, because if you have somebody flash in the quarterback's face, he's either going to move, he's going to hold the ball, whatever. You know, if you can get at least some pressure, feel some pressure in his face. So I think that's probably where they're going to look first. But, you know, I'm guessing they could go after a outside pass rusher, you know, with that 1st pick. But I definitely think that I personally think it's going to be that defensive tackle, because that's why Milton Williams got all that money, man.
No.
Dude got all money. He beat that single block, and he made an effect on the quarterback. He affected the quarterback. And I think that whoever comes in there, look, they're not doubling you. You single block, dude. You're going to be single block. They're doubling Carter. You got to make some noise.
Well,
they
let
got to
me
get
ask
somebody.
you this, though, with Vic's system.
Yeah.
Vic plays a 2-high safety.
Yes.
How important is the loss of Gardner Johnson in that 2-high safety? Because, I mean, you got to think about it. The defense is based on those safeties, aren't they? I mean, cornerback play is essential.
Yes.
Isn't it? Don't you agree that Cooper DeJean's play had a lot to do with the continuity back there, especially with the 3 guys in the middle of the field? The 3 guys were as good as any time they've had in Philly in the last 25 years, when you've had CJ, Cooper in there, and you had Reed. Those 3 guys patrolled the middle of that zone, or at least the top end of that zone. And they shrunk that zone down because Gary, look what they had last year. The linebackers are so good and versatile. They could shrink that zone down from what they did in 23 to where you didn't have a lot of space across the middle of the field because the way your safeties played and the way the nickel played. I mean, Gardner Johnson's position, don't you think that's going to be a tough one to replace?
Well, you know, he was playing over the top, you know, that too deep. Sometimes, you know, he was coming up and things. You know, I'm really just kind of leaning on them with this, because why did you let the guy go? I mean, I'm going like, don't you have enough problems? Look, if you know, and you know Gardner Johnson, at times he's running his mouth. Who cares? The dude shows up on Sunday. That's what we need. We can deal with headaches all week as long as we feel better and we feel good when we're walking out there on Sunday before the game. You know? So we got to see, you know, who they're going to put in there, and are we going to be comfortable with that guy? Is that guy going to be able to step in there and do the job right away? Because that is a very important position in the defense that he plays, you know. And come on, he had 6 picks. You know, he might have, like I said, he at times, you know, you get tired of his mouth, but so what? You know, get some earplugs.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
I got a last one here for you. If you were playing right now for the Philadelphia Eagles, who would you have more respect for in the locker room, Vic or Nick?
You said Vic or Nick, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. You know, I think Nick has come a long way.
I think he's improved too. I do. I think he's improved too. I do.
Yeah. You know, and you know, just by having that composure, you know.
Hey, by the way, don't you think that maybe Fangio and Kellen Moore had an impact on his sideline demeanor and behavior last year as well?
I think so. I think you're definitely right on that. But if I would go with one or the other, man, that's tough on I would have to say that's just really close because both of them, with Nick has come a long way. But Vic, come on, look what he did for the defense. Golly.
Yeah, but Vic's gonna make me a better. You know why I would look at Vic? Vic's gonna make me a better player.
Yeah.
Now you have to have your head coach like you because it's his team. I mean,
That's right.
you can't just go fuck the coach. I mean, I'm gonna only listen to. That's not how that works, and you and I know that. You have to have you have to have respect for your head coach, but Vic is the guy, the intermediate that's dealing with me and going to make me a better ball player. So maybe it's a loaded question too, Gary.
It's a tough question because I tell you, Nick did a great job with the way that he's keeping everybody just keeping everybody focused, and with some of the things that he stresses over and over, and talking about the whole mindset about what you're doing and everything. And the guys buy into what he's saying. I mean, so I wouldn't want to diss Nick because I think he's grown into the job, man. The guy, he's really grown and he's gotten better and better. And, you got to give people credit who in front of everybody. It's easy, where, you got the heat on you, but when you got everybody looking at you and everything, and you got to make some changes, it takes guts to do that. And I give Nick a lot of credit.
I'll tell you what. Our friend Bob Brown has a great dynamic, and he just said it. Do you think that without the animosity, do you think you're looking at the same kind of dynamic you had in Chicago in '85 when you and I were in the league, that you had Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka, and you had Nick and Vic, where they're kind of two different units? One guy runs the offense, the other guy's. Right. Isn't it kind of like that now?
It's definitely like that. And, and see with Buddy, that defense believed in him, man.
Yeah.
And I think you got the same thing here with the defense and Vic. They believe in him, and, what he says goes, and you really got the team really believes in the head coach. So, but I definitely think you got some of that right there. You do.
You know what's funny, Gary? We had Dave Wannstedt on. You played for him, of course. We had Dave Wannstedt on Friday. We had Jimmy yesterday, and he brought up the fact of Buddy Ryan. And I don't think people, and again, I think it's been so many years removed. Buddy came down to University of Miami when he got the job in '86, and he came down there because he wanted to meet Jerome. So he took us all out, me, Stubbs, him, Bill Hawkins, and we're watching film. And he goes, 93, what are you thinking right there? He's talking to me, and I go, well, I'm trying to get front side. He goes, well, put your fucking head front side. Don't be trying to cheat, go backside. What do you want to be, him? And I go, he's pointing at Jerome.
Yeah.
He likes running around blocks. He likes taking plays off. And I'm sitting in there going like, this guy's helping us? Dude, I never got ripped more in my life for Buddy, 2 days. Man. Listening to Buddy Ryan tell me what – he goes, what are you looking at here, 93?
Hey, if when they close that door – man, hey, you better just get ready because he's not gonna be mincing words.
He always called me by my number. We always called us by our numbers.
Oh yeah, that was Buddy. That was Buddy. He called you by your number. That's right.
At 93, what are you doing here, man? You gotta move your feet. You don't want to move your feet? Hey, you know what you can do? You can stand there as a statue if you want. I'm going, I am moving my. He goes, that ain't moving your feet. Yeah. And I'm going, come on, 93, you got to show me more. I'm like, what is this guy's ass on me for?
The thing about it, though, is, if you get to know Buddy, though, he's good people, man.
I did like him a lot.
He's going to be there for you, and that's the way he was. That's why those guys love him so much, man. Buddy would come get them, and whatever situation they were in, he was with them the rest of their lives. And that's the way Buddy is, You
know what he did? He must have ripped me for about 20 minutes. I'm walking out, puts his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, "You could be a great player." Okay. And I looked at him, I go, wow. He goes, "You could be a great player."
Yeah.
He had his 85 ring on.
Yeah.
He goes, "You want to be a great player like McMichael?" I go, "Yeah, I like Steve." And he goes, "Well, just do the right things. You do the right things, you're going to be a great football player." I never forget. I made All-American that year.
Mm-hmm.
First team All-American, and I got a letter from him. He goes, "Congratulations to you, man. You listened to me," because we ran kind of like the 46 with Dave Wannstedt down there at Miami with Jerome and myself. So, no, I mean, you're right. I never had a guy kick my ass so hard and then tell me he loved me.
Hey, that's buddy. He's gonna be honest with you, man. But you get to know him. You know he's trying to help you. You know?
Absolutely, Gary. I appreciate it. Thank you, my good friend.
All right, hey, have a good one.
You got it, Gary Cobb here. Yeah, that was without a doubt one of the great lessons I ever got. We're sitting in this team meeting room, and Buddy had come down. I've showed pictures of it. And so he comes down to our practice. Dave talked about it. He sat in the meetings with us for hours, a full week. He had just gotten the 86 job in Philly. And he gets the front four, us. And we're there for 3 days with him. And we're listening to him. 93, what are you doing? 98, what are you doing? What are you doing, 98? That's Jerome's number. What are you doing, 93? You two guys got to be better than that. We were one of the very few times that you had a first and second team All-American and 2 defensive tackles at one time. I'm looking at this guy. Dave Wannstedt's in the back with Butch. Jimmy's in there too. Jimmy and Buddy had a great relationship, believe it or not, until they got to the NFL when Jimmy got there. And we asked him, he goes, "Hey, you like Mike Ditka?" He goes, "Who?" "Oh, the tight end." Yeah, he was all right. I'm like, "No, Mike Ditka." He goes, "Who?" Yeah, that guy was something else, man. Absolutely great. Xander, you there? We got some supers to read. Anybody in here? By the way, please do me a favor. Hit the like button. We appreciate you guys so much. One of the absolutely best times I ever had was being around Buddy Ryan. 93. Sit your ass down here. 93. I'm Dan. He goes, 93. Sit down. You don't earn your first name until I can tell you you earn your first name. That's how Buddy talked to you, man. Just a great coach. Seriously. Then he puts his hand on my back and he goes like this. He goes, "You'd be a great football player, kid, if you listen to open up your brain and you stopped all the bullshit and all." Because this is what I would do. Butch would give me a sheet like this, Andrew. I'd have 11 tackles on it, and I'd see a 78 grade. And I'm like, a 78 grade? What the hell are you talking about? He goes, "Sileo, you had 11 tackles, 2 sacks, and you had a 78 grade." He goes, "If you stop doing your own game and you stop doing your own bullshit, you'd have a 90 grade." I'd sit there and he goes, "God dang it. Shut up." Buddy heard that and he goes, "Hey, kid, you got to shut your face." Hey,
where have you heard that before, Sills?
Hey, man, my whole life. Hey, listen, man. They didn't start me my first 2 games because of my mouth. Jimmy went like this. He goes, "You play how many plays?" I played 65 plays. He goes, "How many plays did we play on defense?" I go 69. I didn't play 4 plays. How come you didn't start me? He goes,
"I'll never forget the first week we had you on JAKIB. I listened to your first 3 shows. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's bringing the heat."
I'm good. So, hey, man, I mean, fun stuff. I mean, I love Gary. G-Cob's good people, man. I appreciate that. We got some supers. By the way, guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. If you want to throw some supers up there now, we'll appreciate it. They all go to the channel. Thank you guys very much.
All right, here we go. Thanks, everybody, for all the super chats today. Mac and Not the Truck member for 5 months. Appreciate it, man. He says, "Sills, do you value stats more or do you value championships? Which one?"
I value trends more because trends are going to lead to championships. If you got a football player that's trending in the right direction and you got a roster that's trending in the right direction, that the championships are a result of what you're doing as an organization. Hence what the Eagles are doing. You may see a couple steps backwards in what they're doing by torching that defense, but they believe they have the replacements for it. So at the end of the day, it's not stats. You look at them as stats. I look at them as trends on what a quarterback and what a player is. If a player only plays 20%, here's a stat, Mark. Xander, you tell me. If a guy like Jordan Davis, if that guy plays 25%, only 25 plays a game, isn't that a first and second down player? Isn't that who he's become?
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's not a stat. That's a trend.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. It's a good way to look at it. But to answer the question, championships. I mean, I'll answer it. Our
Yeah, well, but that all leads to that.
Yeah, I agree. You're not
Or
disputing
the end result. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Brian Pump, what up, Pumper? He checks in and he says, I want to feel good about the new O-line moves, but we cherry-picked from two of the worst offensive lines in professional football, Dolphins and Texans.
Jesus Christ. And one guy was a colossal 15th pick bust. I mean, but, dude, how about this one, Brian? You want to hear this? Micaiah Becton was considered more of a bust than Kayvon Green. How's that for you?
That's true.
Mekhi Becton is more of a bust. So, I mean, do you believe he could turn him around?
Kenyon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think anything's possible with Jeff Stout.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're on the Coochie Uchi guy. You think that guy's going to be a 10-sack guy, and
I said
he's going to be like
I said
he's
6.
Be the next Michael Parsons. I got it.
Dickhead. I said 6.
6. Okay.
Jason 18. What's up, 18? He says another outlandish prediction. Joshua Uchi-Tree will have 10.5 sacks. Ojulari with 8. Nolan 10. Hunt goes off and gets 13-5. Holy Nikes.
Hey, Jason, stay away from Madden. That's a big sales prediction for you. Stay away from Madden, kid. Holy
Stay off
shit.
the ganja. Jason's on his day off. He's sitting with a big
doubt,
bong
This
next
guy's
to the
hitting
couch.
a hookah. He's hitting a hookah too hard.
He's got a bong sitting next to the couch. He's picking it up.
Jason, do me a favor. Here's some advice, too. Change the bong water.
Yeah, right. That's nasty, Jason. You got to change that stuff out. Brian Pumper says, y'all think Candied Yams is going to take over Freddie J's role? Good night. He played more than Bus Davis. Y'all want to pay that $15 million a year?
Oh, man. He's going to fight. What's the matter, Brian? Don't you like the big guy, man, Jordan Davis, man? I tell you what, I think he's really I think he's gotten himself
Pumper managed to take a shot at like 5 dudes in one super chat. That's impressive.
Oh, I know, man. This guy should be a movie writer for Hollywood here, man, the way he can tie everybody in. Come on.
Pumper, I'm on you. You're using ChatGPT to come up with these. Matt Gene Giles says, Hurts' floor is so high, he don't got to do too much.
Yeah, Hurts' floor is so high the last 4 years. It's unbelievable. How come he's gone backwards the last 2 years?
No, he hasn't. Stop.
He hasn't, huh? He had more turnovers the year before. Last year, he threw for the least amount of yards in any time he's been in the league. That's not walking backwards. I must have missed that.
Oh, I don't know. I just, sometimes when you win the fucking most coveted trophy in the
Wait a
sport,
minute.
that normally
That's not
means
what we're
something.
talking here.
That normally means something to somebody.
Well, when you have somebody in the huddle that's better than you, you go to him. You don't stick with the guy who doesn't win the Super Bowl
so
for
keep
you.
your formula of never getting anybody that's better than him, and you'll be Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, who don't have a ring in their
That's right. Make sure
arsenal.
you always get somebody that's better than Hurts in your huddle, and you'll win.
Bullshit.
That's what happened last year.
What happened to Josh Allen last year? What happened to Lamar Jackson?
There's nobody better
last year.
There's nobody better in Josh Allen's huddle than him.
And they haven't won.
That's right. That's why you had to go out and get another guy that's better than Hurts. What's the one thing that was different in the last 4 years? Barkley. How you doing? Good night.
Bullshit. 18. Xander, love the pink Kango. Thanks, brother. Neat color. I do the same with all my bandanas. Got every color you can think. Always a great show. If our offense passing-wise can be above 20th, we would be unbeatable
15
100%.
wins. If you get to 15th.
I said my predictions were this, and you said it's never happened, and you're losing 10 games.
You said something like $4,000 and whatever and all this other bullshit. If that offense gets in the top 15 in total offense with passing and rushing, good night. I mean, if you had the 15th ranked passing offense and the number 2 rushing offense, there's not a team on the planet that could beat you.
Me and Sills have reached our daily quota. We have a quota. Like, how long can we go before we just start clashing? Here we go. And then I think we've reached that point today. Hey, team, thank you. Appreciate the commentary on the Kangos. I love the bandanas. I remember you rocking one when I met you. Last one, I think we might have got this. Sydney says, Howie's been collecting draft picks for top DTs. Yeah, we got that. So we got all the supers. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Jace, I collect CT rings. You know, I got a collection of those for you too.
Now listen,
See,
as long as you have that
with some of those stupid bold predictions that you have.
They were the best bold predictions you'll ever hear.
Holy shit, man. Hey, watch this. It's his turn now. He'll have some shit. He'll have it, especially when that defense walks back about 15 steps.
Top 5.
Top 5. Keely Ringo. Keely Ringo. Actually, Jimmy likes him. I don't know. I hated some of the shit that he said. I didn't even tell you all.
21, and Sileo wants to
he actually
put him at the pasture. Hey, Sills, let me ask you: if they put you at the pasture at 21, what would have happened to you? Huh?
They did.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair.
No, you know why? They didn't have the patience the Eagles have.
Yeah,
the Eagles would have had patience with me, and just like when Rich McKay was on, they had to put me in the right position.
You got what? You got bad pneumonia, right? Is that what you had?
Actually, in Dallas, I got meningitis.
Meningitis, that's what it was.
I almost died.
Yeah. All right, that's it. We got them all. Rich likes the Ravens. See, I was back and forth between the Bills and the Ravens, so I'm fine with the Ravens.
So you got the Eagles beating the Bills in the Super Bowl in Santa Clara.
Yep.
And you're going to be on another parade float.
Yeah, and this time you're coming in.
Yeah, I have to this time. I'm going to not do it.
This time maybe you'll remember you covered the Philadelphia Eagles and you'll show up. Oh, hey, the team I cover just reached the pinnacle. That normally means
you win. I tell you what I'll do. You go to the NFC title game. I'll come.
Sileo sits on his keister. You got to be kidding me, man. I could roast you about that for so long.
He still got plane tickets on his bulletin board.
You know what? I actually ripped them down. I was done looking at them.
After he won, he said, fuck it.
I got a new pair, the pair from the parade. So it's a fresh
pair. That's not what that – oh, no. I'll tell you how it worked. Just to give you guys – let me show you what Big Joe did. So Big Joe calls me. Hey, I think, God, what do you think, maybe, coming in and, I'm like, yeah, well, let me check and I'll get back to you. Joe never called me back.
Yeah. In other words,
I'm not right dead in there. He knew. Shut up, Sue.
We knew.
Be quiet, Sue.
All right, I'm out of here. So
right,
great show. Great interview with G Cobb today, Sills.
Love it, man. We got a whole bunch of people coming up this week, too. Thank you, Xander. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Sills. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
You got it. Look at Sue here, 325-25. Sills going to the NFC. Look at her. Oh, I forgot. She's the chick that narked me out. Oh, yeah. Sills owes us the bashing segment. Oh, yeah. Doesn't he? Good God. All right. This is what we're going to do. Who fills the roles of Warren Burks, Isaiah Rodgers, and Fred Johnson? Also, my top O-line prospects for Jeff Stoutland. We're going to do that. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. The number one injury. This is what Morgan & Morgan's track record is. It's second to none. They constantly are out there defending families across the country, like right here in PA. Client, as I told you, got an initial offer from an insurance company of $650,000. Morgan & Morgan got $26 million, almost $30 million in recovery for that family because the insurance company came in too low. Or down in Florida, a family was initially offered $350,000. No way. John and his team of 1,000 of attorneys went to that family and told them, no way, $12 million, and that's what they ended up getting in recovery for that respected family. Look, if you're ever injured, please do me a favor. Check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan, where the fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/Big Sills or pound law 529 and do me a favor. You tell them Big Sills sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills National Football Show. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. The guys have been great. I really appreciate you guys here. And thank you again. So we appreciate it. Super Chats will go to the top. As always, you guys have been absolutely insane the last couple of weeks. We're now 30 days out, obviously, from the National Football League's draft at Lambeau. Let me tell you something about Lambeau. I love the fact that they're having the draft there. If you've ever been or you're looking for a bucket list thing to do, you have to go to Lambeau Field. Thank you, Sue, for keeping me updated on that. Come on, folks. Let's get over 200. Let's try to get to 250. I love Lambeau Field. It's one of the absolutely greatest places I've ever been to in my entire life. You know what's funny? My first year in the league, my aunt actually went to a Green Bay game that I played in, and we used to play. Hey, Bob, you probably remember this, Bob, but we played at Old Milwaukee County Stadium my rookie year when we went up to Green Bay, and I used to play in a division called the NFC Central Division. It was called the Black and Blue Division. We had Minnesota, Detroit, ourselves, and Chicago, and it was called the Black and Blue Division because you knew that you were going to have to play in a running division, and that division was the running division. And what they used to do, they used to play a game. I think I still have that somewhere, that program. that I had that we played at. When you walk into the old county stadium where the Brewers played, the very first home run and the very first baseball bat that Henry Aaron used was in glass, and it's right as you're walking into Old County Stadium. You know what the really weird thing about that was? Both teams were on the same sideline. I had never been part of that dynamic. I played an NFL football game in a baseball stadium. And it was the weirdest thing I've ever been involved in, because when you run off the field, you usually want to run to a side. Well, this is the only time in my entire life that I didn't run off to a side. You ran to a section of the field. Green Bay had the upper end. The visiting team had the back end. So we're all on the same sideline. Craziest thing you ever seen, playing on a baseball stadium like County Stadium. It's legendary County Stadium, but obviously they don't do that anymore because they don't play in Miller Park any longer. They don't go down. But they used to, hey, Xander, right? Am I right? Alabama, back in the day, they used to play games at home in Tuscaloosa. But back in the day, they used to play a couple games, and I think even the Iron Bowl at Legion Field. And they used to separate, and they used to, because top end of the state, they wanted to get recruits. And so sometimes they would play at Legion. I've played at Legion Field, and they would play at the bottom. And they would play down at Legion Field and in Birmingham. And so they used to do that. They don't obviously do that anymore. They play all their home games in Tuscaloosa now. But the Iron Bowl used to be played at Legion Field, one of the legendary fields. Bob, if you remember, that's where the USC-Alabama game was played. And that famous game with John McKay bringing all those players, and they went down there and whooped their ass. And it was really a great documentary by HBO that I just totally dig. And I love the fact that I played at all these legendary stadiums. A lot of them aren't around. Legion Field is still around, though. Thanks for all your time, Sills. Love hearing stories from your foot experience. Also, love the modes in the chat like Sue. I love it too, man. Roll Tide. Hey, Dre, that Alabama team back in the day, I got recruited. My aunt is in here watching. She always watches you guys. Dre, I'll tell you a Bear Bryant story. You're going to love this. Xander, I don't know if you've ever heard my Bear Bryant story. So I went to Joe Namath's football camp in Quinnipiac, Connecticut. I got invited. I was a top flight kid in New England. And so I got invited. My coach, my high school coach, sent me to the Joe Namath camp. Well, I got coached by a guy by the name of Sugar Bear Hamilton, Winston Hill, Phil Villapiano, Lester Williams. Who else was there? Randy Fataha, who would become my agent later. Joe Namath. There were so many legendary players that showed up. Ben Davidson, Lyle Alzado, all these guys. They were coaching me. So I go there, and I become the MVP on the defensive side. There's about 300 kids, and I'm the defensive MVP in this camp. Kids from Alabama, all over the country, going because it's a full contact camp. Namath comes to me and goes, "Hey, how would you feel about playing at Alabama?" I'm like, man, I'm a Connecticut kid. I mean, I don't know. I'm a New England guy going down to Alabama. He goes, "I'm from PA." And I go, "Well, I don't know." And I was starting to get heavily recruited because I just like to play for Coach Bryant. I went and told my grandpa, I go, "Hey, Joe Namath just said, it'd be cool if I'm a Namath alum from his camp. I love Joe Namath. He's been on my program a ton of times. We should try to would you guys like to see Namath on? Okay, we'll put Namath on. I'll reach out to Joe's folks and see if we can get Joe Namath on. You guys, would you want Namath? Great guy. it's kind of accessible. He's backed up a little bit, but would you like Joe Willie? Well, let me tell you. So I get a call. Dan, hi, Bear Bryant. I'm up in the New England area and I'm going to be recruiting. I'm driving up through Delaware now. I'm going to drive into New York. Then I'll drive up. I'm driving up to Boston to talk about a couple of kids. I'd like to stop off and meet you. All right. So Coach Bryant, big old Lincoln, pulls into my driveway. And there's Coach Bryant right there. And he goes, my grandpa's like, it's Bear Bryant. Sure enough. I'm sitting there talking to Bear Bryant, about coming to Alabama, coming to playing. I just didn't think me going down to the South like that. I don't know. I wanted to stay where my folks could watch me play. He sent me a postcard. I still have the postcard. And he sent me the postcard. He goes, hey, I'll see you on Sundays. Congratulations on your decision. And I'm like, all right. And I think they won a national title the year previous to me going into that. So, yeah, that's my Alabama story. Coach Bryant was awesome. Called me up on the phone, came and saw me, recruited me, and invited me to come down and play. He wanted to know if I wanted to play. I just didn't too far away. That's one of the reasons I didn't take a recruiting trip to Southern Cal, because Gary Cobb got me a recruiting trip to go to USC. I was like, I don't think so. It's a little too far away. Because my folks were still alive at the time. And I didn't want to, I wanted them to be able to come down. I wanted my grandma, my aunt, especially, to come down and see me play. So that's kind of why I stayed close to home and stayed on the East Coast at least. That's why it was Maryland, Miami. I thought about going to Boston College. I thought about Notre Dame for a little bit. Definitely Penn State. I thought about that a little bit too. Typing is hard. I'd love to have Namath. And I think we all love to guess Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. How do you rank them all time? Dre, I would say this to you. Bear Bryant's one of the most influential and most important head coaches in the history of college football. The Junction Boys, what he did at A&M, what he did at Kentucky, what he did at Maryland. He was a head coach for a year at Maryland. Is second to none what he did. That he rejuvenated Alabama football, and he made the Southeastern Conference what it is today. Everything Nick Saban benefited from, remember, those schools were great during the 60s. Two all white, but it was Coach Bryant who started bringing African-American kids. Do you know the majority of the kids who lived in the southeastern part of the country couldn't go to SEC schools? Okay, you couldn't. So you know where they went? They went to the Big Ten, and they went out west, and they went to the Pac-12, or back then the Pac-8. And they didn't play in the SEC. Well, it was Coach Bryant. And by the way, Sylvester Croom, who was a coach of mine at Tampa Bay, and Ray Perkins played for Coach Bryant. And so we knew Coach Bryant. He knew I knew Coach Bryant. That's why one of the things that attracted me to Ray Perkins drafted Lawrence Taylor and drafted Phil Simms. So when he drafted me, he knew I knew Coach Bryant. And he played for Coach Bryant. And Sylvester Croom was one of the first, if not the second, black player to play in the Southeastern Conference. Then I think Dwight Stevenson took over for him too, was an Hall of Fame center. But Sylvester, to this day, is a great friend of mine. He's one of the legends. I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, Bob, I think he was a head coach at Mississippi State. I think Sylvester coached Mississippi State for a little bit, but he was one of Coach Bryant's favorite players. And by the way, for the record, Coach Bryant didn't treat black guys bad. He treated everybody bad. That's what Sylvester Croom and John Hanna said. He goes like this. John Hanna's like, I don't think he ever treated black players bad. He treated all of us like shit. So, hey, I mean, You know, he didn't. He was a guy that treated everybody like shit. He used to have this. I don't know, Xander, if you've ever been to the practice field, but at the practice field at Alabama, they got the old Bear Bryant Tower there. It's still there. And Coach Bryant had this tower that he would go in, and he'd look over the players, and Namath will tell you, man, stood. They stood. They were what that boy right there is, stud. You see that boy right there, white or black, you call them all boy. He goes, that boy right there stood. That boy right here, I hear you a stud. That's what he would say on the phone. I hear you a stud. You a stud? I'm like, yeah, I'm a stud. Yeah. But comparing him to Nick's the greatest college football coach of all time. Title at LSU, title at Bama, all those championships at Bama. Remember what he did? He took over for Mike Shula. Mike Shula had run that program into the ground. I mean, when Nick took over, you're right, Xander? You guys are losing to Louisiana like Monroe. You imagine? I mean, Alabama's losing to Louisiana Monroe in his first year. That's how bad the program was. Louisiana Monroe. I'll tell you what, that Ken DeBoer guy, that guy, he doesn't win, he'll be fired at the end of this year. You can't go 9-4 at Alabama. You crazy? Shit, you can't go 10-3 at Alabama. My school has succumbed to that. Shit, they think 10 wins is good. 10 wins is a losing season to me. That's why I'm a little harder. People ask me about UM, and they always say this, like, Sills, what do you think of Miami? Miami won 10 games this year. Okay, I guess that's an improvement. Me, that's a losing season. Back in the day when we went 10-1, that was a losing season. 10-1 was losing. I mean, we played for perfection. We played to go 10-1, 10-2. Plays to go 10-2. Shit, I don't want that. I don't want to be anything part of that. 10-2. Supers go to the top, guys. Please do me a favor, hit the like button. I said it for 3 years. Eagles coaching staff are tiebreakers for similarity grade draftees. Rager and Jefferson had the similar grades. I think all coaches and personnel staff have been fired from the Rager draft, but the wide receiver coach. Hey, Matt D, there is no doubt. Let me show you something here about my coaching staff and to what you're saying about the current Eagle coaching staff and how important that is. You're dead on. Check this out. I had Dave Wannstedt. I had Butch Davis, Jimmy Johnson. Who else was a great recruiter? Tony Wise. Okay. Let me give you Dave Wannstedt's resume. Shady McCoy at Pitt. Aaron Donald at Pitt. Darrelle Revis at Pitt. Joe Flacco at Pitt. Transferred to Delaware. Cortez Kennedy at UM. Here's Butch, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Jonathan Vilma, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, Clinton Portis, Bryant McKinney, Cortez Kennedy, Russell Maryland, Warren Sapp. I could go on and on. That's who they recruited. Those guys are Hall of Famers. That's their, I mean, those guys are NFL Hall of Famers. I mean, not only did they find these kids in high school, they developed them, then they developed them into NFL Hall of Fame players. Can you imagine? Nobody offered Ray Lewis a scholarship. You know what Butch did? Butch lost a kid on the final day before reporting for camp, fall camp. Ray had nowhere to go. Butch calls him up and goes, I got a scholarship. You want it? Ray Lewis wasn't even in the freshman media guide his first year because he was so late. It was signed. That's how we draft. That's how we sign players. Some guys would be guys that had like Jimmy said yesterday. Some guy would be like, I recruited. Get this. I still help recruit. You know, Mario asked me to call some kids, and I do. So, like the kid Bain, who's on the team now, who I think is going to be a first-round edge rushing. By the way, Eagle fans, do me a favor. Check this guy's name out, Bain. Okay? He's an edge rusher we have. He was the freshman of the year a year ago, and I think this kid Bain is going to be a top 5 pick. I don't know if you're ever going to be in a position to get him. I don't know what they'll think of him draft-wise, but he's a first-round pick. And if he's down in where you guys can pick, that'd be a guy I'd like to see on the Eagles. His uncle, Tolbert Bain, played with me at UM. And Tolbert told me to talk to the kid, so I talked to him. He goes, what? I go, you'll never be in a better fraternity than the University of Miami. There's nothing like Reuben Bain. Yep. There's nothing like being a Hurricane. There's just nothing. Every year we put players in the Hall of Fame, coaches, players. Being a Miami Hurricane is the greatest thing in my life, outside of my family. I would never, ever not want to be a Hurricane. And he's like, well, you know, my uncle, I go, I know who you are, son. I know who you are. You think I pick the phone up and call anybody? I don't. I pick certain players. They ask me, and I'll circle them. I'll do some homework on them. Then I'll make a phone call. Hey, we'd like to be a Cane. So, yeah, look at Reuben Bain. Okay. Twiz, let's see what you got here. Do you think it's harder to develop talent now because of all the coaches and always chasing the bag? Oh, yeah, Twiz, I think it's impossible to develop good college players today because you don't have them long enough and you can't practice long. Here's the problem that you have in college football. You really don't have enough time because you only have 20 and you have so limited time to have full contact. So you really can't really develop these guys. And some of these guys that come out of college, like look at Nolan Smith and some of these other players, they're not fully developed like they were back in the past. We used to have 3.5-hour full contact practices every day. That shit's outlawed today. So preparing kids like that for the NFL, impossible to prepare a kid, especially an O-lineman. You guys want to know why that it was so good of a draft? Not this last year and not this year. You know why? We're going to look at O-lineman here in a minute. You know why it was so good a couple of years ago for O-linemen? Most of those kids were COVID kids, and they had an extra year. If you look at the draft, the Keegan draft, most of those O-linemen that got drafted that year were like 23, 24 years old. They had used their COVID year. And so they got more time to get developed. As you get away from COVID, you're going to start to see the ramifications of the lack of talent, especially at the quarterback position. Why do you think a lot of the quarterbacks the last couple of years have been pretty good hits, except for the year right after COVID? That was the Zach Wilson and that shitty draft. Those were all the COVID guys. After that, it was a really good draft class because they had that extra 6th year to stay in college. Like, look at Bo Nix. Bo Nix is 25. You know what? If you look at it, how old is Bo Nix? He might be a year younger than Jalen. And Jalen's been in the league 5 years. Like, find out how old Bo Nix is. I think he's like 26. Hurts is 27. Hurts has got 5 years in the league already. That kid's Nick's is 25. Jalen's only 2 years older than him. He's been in the league 5 years. Both's 25 and been in 1. Think of that. I mean, amazing in the first 4 years with Sirianni on similar paths as those guys. Imagine where we will be if they get the next 2 drafts right with 20 picks. Here's the one thing, though, Mad D. Nick Sirianni has a different role than what, like, say, a Bryant or Saban or Jimmy Johnson had, because Jimmy was involved in the personnel. Nick's not. Nick's not involved in whatsoever in anything to do with personnel. Now, that's okay. You've defined his role. Maybe 23 was a defining part of the role in the transition. Maybe Nick was going through a transition from actually being I heard John McMullen say something. It wasn't just 1 year that he had with Phillip Rivers. He had 4 years with Phillip Rivers. He was a quarterback coach in 2014 and 15 with the Chargers in San Diego. I was there. I didn't even know Nick Sirianni was on the staff until I realized he worked with Frank. Frank was the OC then. He was the quarterback coach in 16 and 17. This is all working with Rivers. And then he was Phillip Rivers' OC 1 year in Indianapolis. So you're talking about 5 years with Phillip. So that's why he is a huge fan of Phillip Rivers. One thing about Phillip Rivers, John is dead right with this, how he would manipulate open pass routes would be in design of the routes itself. And he would manipulate it with head movement, body movement, shifting in the pocket. The one thing that made Rivers so good, was that he moved and manipulated the defense by subtle movements, looking at landmarks, using landmarks that he knows. He'd look at a front side landmark. He knows he's coming back to the third option. Phillip could read a defense. Make no mistake. Now, he's a coach's kid too. That's why Jalen likes him so much. There is no doubt one of the best I think he was better skill-wise as a pocket passer than Eli and Ben. That's how good he was. He of those guys that went in that draft, Roethlisberger, Eli, and Phillip. Unfortunately, Phillip never won a Super Bowl. He was the better player than those 2 dudes. Those other dudes were in better organizations at the time. The Giants had Wellington Mara and Jerry Reese and Tom Coughlin. And Tom Coughlin built the Jaguar offense and built the Jaguar organization. They went to an AFC championship game with Mark Brunell. Tom knew what he was doing. So he knew how to build. The best time in Jaguar history was with Tom Coughlin. And Tom did the same thing with Jerry Reese in New York. And that's why Phillip Rivers, if he would have went to New York, I think he'd have won 2-3 Super Bowls in New York, because he would have had better coaching. He would have had a better organization. And unfortunately, the Spanos family, they never utilized 2 of the greatest players in their franchise's history. That's Dan Fouts and Phillip Rivers. Is it Sirianni part of the tie-breaking process? No, he's not. You mean to tell me, Mad, that you think if there's a player, how many people believe, Matt D? Matt, I'm not ripping you, but how many people believe that if there's a player that the organization and the personnel department is thinking about and the coaching staff likes, you think Nick overrides what Howie wants in a personnel pick? I don't. Sirianni also made videos of players with desirable traits for Howie. You mean Sirianni's assistants did? Dan, will John Gruden get another coaching gig? He's a proven winner. Yes, I do believe that. Okay. I do believe John will get another opportunity at being a head coach in the National Football League. And I think he should. Tony Dungy got Michael Vick a job with the Eagles. You heard it yesterday. And Tony Dungy believes that John Gruden should get another opportunity at coaching in the National Football League. And I do too. I think Tony Dungy's word's good enough for me. All right. I'm going to give you my final four. By the way, all supers go to the top. Thank you guys so much. Tiebreakers aren't overrides. Okay, that's fair enough. So you're saying that he has suggestions? Sure. I think Howie goes the final call, though. Okay? Get this, folks. Here's Dickhead trying to tell you, after what Tony Dungy said, that he should be given a second chance. That's right, dude. How many people hang with Dickhead or Tony Dungy? All you need to know about Dickhead. Dickhead is one of those woke guys that tries to cancel people because you know why? These are the piece of shits in the world. These guys. Dickhead doesn't want John Gruden to coach again, but Tony Dungy thinks that he deserves another chance. Who in the world would ride with Dickhead over Tony Dungy? Only Dickhead and some woke-ass person like that Kevin Kincaid guy ripping Nick Sirianni and Cooper DeJean for being Christians. I didn't know Nick Sirianni was a God-fearing man. Well, who are you to judge him? Then he goes, if I want anybody, what did he say to me today? That Kevin can nobody. What did he say to me? Yeah, you're just a guy that I want to go to when it comes to morals. I don't know you from a can of paint, kid. And you don't know anybody I know. And you don't know any of my friends. You sit on the sidelines and write shit about me from people who don't know me. That's who that Kevin Kincaid is. Again, box of rocks. Box of rocks. This guy goes, yeah, you're just a guy. You pretend like, you know how many people pretend that they know me? Like everyone. Mike Missinelli pretends he knows me. No, Mike, you've been on my program. You brought something. Not really a lot, but something in your boring ass takes. I thought you were good. You're not. I had heard all these great names. Anthony Gargano and those guys. I'm like, I don't know. Angelo Howard, yes. Ray Didinger, great. Dude, Farzetta. I like Mark. Dumb other two? I don't think so. Either that or Anthony doesn't get it on how to do shows like this. Maybe he was better on the radio because he stinks at what he's doing now. That shit's unwatchable. I mean, honest to God, I would tell him, Xander. Let me. Hey, you know what I do? So I was watching Missinelli and that other kid that they got there. What's his name? Bill Cunnilingus. I was watching him and those two dudes, and I went right back to Birds 365. I had to. I mean, at least I wasn't bored. I mean, I wasn't bored. I was like, yeah. Dude, I can only stand a couple of minutes. I'm trying to at least what are they talking about? Kind of get a sense around. You got to go to the Philly shows. Jesus, Grammy. Hey, I just, let me go back. Believe it or not, young Xander. I don't think there's really a lot of great guys broadcasting any longer. This kid's got it going on here. Okay? His predictions stunk today. Okay? Those bold predictions are his. Holy cow. Here we go. But at least you get one thing out of our network. People pick a side. There's no fence straddling. How you doing? You know, that's a great question. Get Johnny. I don't know, man. You know, me and John, it's kind of like oil and water. I mean, John has a funny way about it, you know, how he looks at the game. And I guess so do I. That'd be like me and Sue going out on a date. Nobody would eat. Nobody would get hammered. And we would be throwing things at each other by the end of the dinner. Right, Sue? It wouldn't be a good thing. I don't know. You and me, Sue, on a dinner date? I don't know. She'd order fish. I'd order Italian. I'd order like a vodka cranberry. She'd order a white wine spritzer. I don't know. I don't think it would work. So that's, you know what I'm saying? So, right, Sue? It wouldn't work. I mean, you know, you wouldn't want to wear heels. You know, I'd want you in heels. You want to wear flats. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Here are my final four teams. Okay? Hey, you know what I'll say to you, M. Reyes? Order that English deal and that meal. It's called Cold Dick. You'll like it. It's a little potato. I think it's what they call it in London. If you've ever had it, I'm sure you've had it. M. Reyes, Cold Dick. I think that's what it's called. Isn't that what it's called, guys? Spotted Dick. That's it. M. Reyes, I hear you're a connoisseur on spotted dick. Spotted dick is, hey, look at this guy. Look at this guy, Mad D. Sorry, I didn't have my decoder book on desserts. I'm glad to see that you clarified that for us there, Mad D. Way to go, Mad D. Mad D goes Sills. It's not an entree. It's a dessert. And thank you. I appreciate that. Way to hook us up there and letting us know exactly what it was. Thank you very much, Mad D. Wait a minute. What's this guy? Stills is losing it? That was decades ago, kid. Come on, Raj. That's decades ago. Losing it now? Hey, what an epiphany, Raj. My final four NFL teams. Who are your final four predicting? By the way, here's a prediction. Another bold prediction here. On March 25th, who are your final four teams? 2 from the AFC, 2 from the NFC. Who are your final fours? Thanks, Raj. I appreciate that, brother. Final four. Here we go. Eagles, Bills, Ravens, Lions. I got to keep that there. Eagles and Lions, Steve. I think the Chiefs are going to go back to M. Reyes. Here's who I have. For the NFC Championship game, I've got Eagles and Lions. AFC Championship game, I've got Bills and Ravens. What's your problem? What's your problem with that? I like clams. I like Clams Casino. I like seafood. My wife bought this grouper, and I'm eating a lot of grouper. I love grouper. I love grouper. That's my favorite fish. Ravens and Texans. Clams at Hooters is a violation, Sileo. You don't know, man. You know what he did? Listen, so I'm sitting there. We're at King of Prussia. So I forget. I ordered clams. I forget I ordered I ordered a fish I ordered a grouper sandwich. And Xander's sitting there with me. He goes, dude, clams at Hooters. I'm like, yeah. He goes, nobody orders clams at Hooters. Dude, you should have seen his face. He was so offended. Like, dude, you get wings and it's a wing place. Oh, he was offended. See? He's like, clams. I mean, why would you order clams? Okay? Why would you order clams? Hey, Brian, I'll tell you one thing I do dig. Yeah, one thing I ate a cheesesteak sandwich, and it was really good. Everybody in Philly, when I posted it, kicked my ass in my DMs. If it ain't in Philly and you're eating a cheesesteak, you're eating a white guy's cheesesteak sandwich. You're not eating a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. And I was like, okay, he goes, don't say that's great. Nobody makes cheesesteaks like we do. And I'm like, all right. So they were like, Sileo, you how would you know what a good cheesesteak tastes like? You ate a California cheesesteak? That's not a real thing. Yeah. So the next time I'm in Philly, I'm going to eat that. Okay, baked clams. Oh my God, my grandmother makes my aunt and my wife now makes those baked clams. A recipe from my grandma. Oh, unbelievable! Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Look at here. Watch this. This guy right here. There is nobody in the history of YouTube that has a streak as long as this guy in horrific takes than this guy here, Dick Track. He is the worst. He has the worst takes that I'm shocked we haven't banned him yet for being dumb and having bad takes. I haven't seen him with a decent take like ever. Like ever. I mean, ever. He's never had a decent take. Like even something I would go, that guy, it's kind of, they're all horrific. Holy cow. I mean, dude, if you said it was nighttime out, I wouldn't believe you. Okay? I mean, I wouldn't believe you. All right. I wrote down my top 10 NFL prospects for O-line because, guys, go with me here. Do me a favor. This is what I think, okay? I think you're going to be edge, DT, tight end, and O-line. Those are your 4 rooms. At 32, if you don't move out or if you don't move up. Don't get caught on names. Okay? Do not get caught on names. Because at 32, you have no way of knowing. You get this. For me, sitting here picking names, you got to pick a collection of names with position groups that you think they're going to go. Edge makes sense. DT makes sense. Tight end, because they're getting rid of Goddard, makes sense. O-line always makes sense in Philly. Every other position, unless it's something out of hand, they're not going to take anything other than, would you agree with me? At 32, if they don't move, they're taking a DT, they're taking an edge, a DT, a tight end, or an O-lineman. Would you not agree? They're going to be in those 4 sandboxes. Okay. So here's what you say. Kelvin Banks, OT Texas. He's the 4th best prospect in the draft. He's most likely not going to be there. Okay. Will Campbell. He's the 6th best prospect in the draft. LSU kid. He's not going to be there. Armand Mibu, Missouri, 14th. Could he fall? He could fall down there. He's probably going to go in the 20s. Josh Simmons. He clearly could be down there at 32. I like that kid from Ohio State. If that kid, Josh Simmons, is down there at 32, I can see the Eagles taking him. Tyler Booker, the kid from Bama, 25 best prospect. He could be down there. He's an OG. Let me ask you something. Think about this, Xander, everyone. You know how to stop that revolving door at right guard? Draft an interior O-lineman. Next 3 years, you got him on a rookie deal. And you don't have to worry about the revolving door anymore. And you put him down there at 32, or you move up to 26 to get him. He's cheaper, and you stop the revolving door. And what else? He's young. And you solidify your guards. Most important position on the Philadelphia Eagles, outside of quarterback, is O-line. O-line. O-line all day. All offensive line. Okay? That's not going to change. I could see them taking a guard down there and keeping him there because it's financially makes sense and it's sound. Gray Zabel, the kid from North Dakota. I'm not drafting anybody from North Dakota State. No, thank you. I don't want anything to do with that. No disrespect. The kid could be the next Anthony Munoz, but I'm not drafting anything from North Dakota State. Who the hell are you blocking? Mike Missinelli? I mean, who do you play against? Seriously. I mean, who are you playing against at North Dakota State? Some beer drinking guys? No, thank you. That Josh Connerly, they brought him in actually for an interview, and they brought him in as one of the 32. So I could see them looking at him. Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, another interior guard. Right? Marcus Imbo, Purdue. Okay, 6'4", 300. He's an OT. But I could see them. This kid from West Virginia is pretty good. This Millam kid. I could see them, but then again, he's like the 57th. You can get him in the 2nd round. All right. Don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, folks, the #1 injury law firm in the country with over $20 billion recovered for clients across the country with over 1,000 attorneys from coast to coast. Morgan & Morgan is going to make sure they do the #1 thing that's important, and that is to make sure your family is not taken advantage by insurance companies by coming in with low numbers. They're going to make sure you get the right number. Again, I told you about the families across the country. One family got $26 million after being awarded initially $650K. Another was $350K. They ended up getting $12 million for that family. Do me a favor, folks. If you're ever injured, please use my friends at Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
You know, I got to give Dick Train some credit here. I got to give this guy some credit. This guy's like the Daryl Morey of takes. He's just terrible on everything he does. But hey, he's still here. So, Dick Train, I'm going to give you a lot of love. Honestly, dude, you're like you're the Daryl Morey of posting. So, I'll give you credit for some of the stuff that you say. So, I mean, you're here, and I got to tell you, man, congratulations to you. And I give you a lot of kudos for putting up with all the BS that you do. I don't know who's worse, Daryl Morey or Dick Train, but hey, they're both here. He shows up. Congratulations to you, kid. He shows up. Kevin Frazier from Entertainment Tonight is going to be here tomorrow. John Morgan's also going to make an appearance again. That'll be tomorrow. I believe we're getting Mark Holmes and the first installment in 2025 of Battle Royale with Philly 500 and him will be tomorrow. Hey, by the way, don't forget, Ice Cube's going to join us on Friday, and we're working on John Gruden. So, had a really great week. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button on the way out. Make sure you check out all the interviews. Make sure you hit subscribe for us as well. Big Joe, thank you. Big Z, thank you very much. 2 to 6. We'll see you on the flip side.